I take the 80 million the bank sends me by mistake and spend every cent on a stalled development. It all starts after the bank rejects my 80 million loan request 365 times. Then my phone buzzes. The bank has wired me 80 million by mistake, and the text says the sender is a city infrastructure project. Anyone who has touched money like this knows the rule: don't spend it or you go to prison. And right at that moment, I awaken something called the deadbeat system. For every 10,000 I owe each month, I earn 1 debt point. And on the system's shelf, even the cheapest item is a technology that could change my entire life. If I can just hold on to this money, it's a goose that lays golden eggs. The money doesn't matter, the debt does. If I let it slip away, how long would it take someone with nothing like me to ever owe 80 million again? Prison is possible, but it's a bet worth taking. Even behind bars, I can trade system technology for a reduced sentence, maybe even early release. A few years inside, and I walk out fully maxed out, ready to build a technological empire. I start working out how to keep the money, how to burn through 80 million fast. A transfer won't work, normal spending won't work either. Both get traced and clawed back. Buying a car or a new house takes too long, and it'll still get seized. Wait, buying property might actually work. My eyes light up. A plan starts forming. A brand new house is risky though. First, the deal wouldn't close fast enough. Second, it's still easy to trace and reclaim, but a stalled, half-built development is different. The developer is already buried in debt, one step from jumping off a ledge. If this money lands in his hands, it'll vanish in under 5 minutes. He already has plenty of creditors chasing him. There's no way the bank gets this money back from someone like that. And here's the real point. Once the developer settles his debts, will he take out a new loan and keep building? If he does, the project won't just avoid collapse, it might actually turn a profit. Even if he runs off with it, I still walk away with the debt points. I lose nothing. Worst case, I go to prison, or I pay the 80 million back someday. It's the 21st today. 9 more days, and I'll have 8,000 debt points banked. I grab my phone and post in the group chat. Anyone know where there's a stalled housing development? Why do you ask? Milo from accounting, who just got 20,000 back from me, is in a great mood, and his opinion of me has jumped up a notch. I'm looking to buy a place, I reply. Are you out of your mind? A stalled project? Even if you had money, that's not how you burn it. Throw it in a river, at least you'd hear a splash. Yeah, weren't you broke and borrowing cash last week? Where's the money for a house coming from? The chat lights up. I type back, I've got some money, that's all. Can't afford a finished place, so I'm checking out cheap stalled ones. Never know, might be worth a shot. You're dreaming, man. Aren't you sick? Save that money for treatment, don't waste it. Everyone chimes in, trying to talk me out of it. Then my phone rings. It's Milo from accounting. Hey, are you serious about buying a stalled unit? He asks. Yeah, no other choice, not much in my pocket. Might as well gamble on the odds, I say with a laugh. Milo hesitates, then says, if you're really buying, go for Willowbrook Residences. That's a tip from the inside. Don't ask me more, that's all I'll say. My eyebrows lift. Milo clearly has inside information. I don't press him. Instead, I go online and search it up myself. Willowbrook Residences was developed by Rocco Realty Group. There's no shortage of headlines, it's been trending, and the reasons behind it are all over the map. Some say the developer got too greedy, launching too many projects at once until the cash flow snapped. One development in particular ran into trouble, units weren't selling, cash wasn't coming back in, and a loan payment was coming due. So the developer pulled funds from other projects to plug the hole, but the hole just kept growing, and no new loan could cover it. Several projects ground to a halt all at once. The once busy sales offices went dead quiet overnight. A halt means the risk of a stalled project, and a stalled project means nobody's buying. No sales mean no money to continue, and no continuation means another halt. The project is trapped in a death spiral, stuck like this for a long stretch already. Word has it the developer has another loan payment coming due, and he simply has no money left. It's either jump off a building or skip town. Once that rumor spread, the homeowners panic too. They protest every single day now, and it's all over the news. I look up the sales office number and dial it. Hello there. A bright, clear voice answers. I want to buy a unit. I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat that? The voice sounds genuinely shocked. I believe your boss can pull through this. I want to buy a unit, actually several. Prices must be low right now, right? Go ask him. Yes, sir, please hold on. The woman on the line sounds like she can barely believe it. What? He thinks our property will appreciate? Is this a joke? Appreciate my foot, I'm about to go up in flames myself. Rocco, the head of Rocco Realty, looks stunned. You're serious? Boss Rocco, he says he wants several units and he's asking about current prices. Give me his number. I've seen plenty of suckers in my life, but never one who came running to throw money away. This guy's worse than signing up for a sinking ship. Rocco grows suspicious. A moment later, an unknown number calls and I pick up. Hello, are you the one looking to buy? Rocco's voice drips with suspicion. That's me, I say flatly. I want to know the current price for Willowbrook Residences. Are you sure you're not up to something? Let me be straight with you. If you're fishing for information out of me, I can just tell you now. I have a 300 million loan coming due at the bank. I've already borrowed from everyone I can, and what I have on hand doesn't come close to covering it. I'm already preparing to sell off the whole project. If you're a homeowner, don't worry about the project stalling out. Cloud Sea Group is going to buy Willowbrook Residences, though you'll most likely need to pay a supplemental fee to the new company when the time comes. Construction will resume, don't worry. Rocco still sounds uncertain. Cloud Sea Group? My eyebrows lift slightly. I'd heard rumors that the Chief family, still part of Cloud Sea Group, wanted into real estate. So it's true, and they're already playing dirty tricks. Desperate times, I guess. I remember Preston's crooked, mocking smile smile the last time we crossed paths, and I can't help but grin. This is it. This is how I get him. Boss Rocco, I ask, are you willing to let this go quietly? Willing? Like hell I am. They set a trap for me and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. Rocco curses, furious and helpless all at once. Look, kid, even now that you've reached me, there's nothing I can do for you. But rest easy. I've always run an honest business. Every project I've built before has a solid reputation. Go ask around if you want. There's just no way around this. I've accepted it. You could kill me right now and I still couldn't scrape together money to keep building anytime soon. You're a homeowner, aren't you? Just wait it out. I won't forget this. Give it 2 years, and whatever extra you end up paying Cloud C, I'll pay every cent of it back to you myself. This guy actually has a conscience, I think to myself, surprised. Come find me, I say. I've got money, and I'm serious about buying a place. This might just help you out. Kid, even if you bought 10 units, what good would that do? I'll be honest with you, this isn't about money anymore. Rocco lets out a bitter laugh. I have 80 million, I say plainly. What? Rocco freezes, startled. 80 million? Are you serious? If you really have 80 million, I'll sell you an entire building outright. 11 floors, 2 entrances, 44 units, plus parking spaces and storage rooms thrown in. But I need to be upfront about one thing. This isn't just about money, it's about making some very powerful enemies. I suck in a sharp breath. That is genuinely a fire sale price. I'd already checked the area. The location is a bit out of the way, but its future looks promising. Other buyers were paying 2,600,000 per unit, plus 100,000 for parking, and another 100,000 for storage, mandatory add-ons, totaling 2,800,000. That was the bundled price. And this offer is what? Less than 1,820,000, with parking and storage thrown in free. That's 60% off. As for making enemies, that's not a problem for me. I only have 2 questions. I stand up and pace back and forth. First, with Ashford Bank, do you have connections who can process a large transfer for you? I do. Rocco nods. That loan came from the head office itself. They're leaning on me hard right now. They'd help me out even in the middle of the night. Second, if the bank comes after this money, can you keep hold of it? I press him. Rocco freezes, and after a long pause says, kid, that money is dirty. Does dirty money bother you? I fire back. Fair point, he admits. Rocco thinks it over for a moment, then says, 80 million, deal. I'll handle it on my end. When do we make this happen? Now. Immediately. Every minute you're late is another minute of risk. I give him my address and hang up the phone. 15 minutes later, a knock comes at my door. I open it, and standing right in front of me is a heavy-set man. I recognize him instantly from my earlier search, one of Ashford City's leading businessmen. 2 more people trail behind him, probably worried about being conned. He's brought bodyguards along. Sit, I say, pointing at the sofa. Then I hand the bank card to the heavy-set man. Boss Rocco, the rest is on you. Rocco isn't much to look at. Rumpled clothes, disheveled hair. He clearly hasn't even washed his hair. Leave it to me, he says, dropping onto the couch, and first checks the balance on my card, then pulls out his phone and starts dialing. Hey Grady, old friend, of course I'll pay it back. I've got the money now. I'll send it your way in half an hour, alright? I just need a favor. My brother's sending me a wire and it's a large transfer. I need you to open up the limit for me. Thanks, thank you so much. Drinks are on me next time. The call ends. Rocco gives me a slight nod, then dials several more calls in quick succession. Strong, I'll wire your company's money back in a minute, but I need you to lend it right back to me. Don't worry, I found a way through. We're pulling through this time. Big gal, still breathing, don't worry. I just need some money to pass through your account for a moment. Sure, call it a repayment and a loan. It's fine, don't worry. Old Kong, do me a favor, it's fine, don't worry about it. Just moving the money through. Alright, we'll catch up soon. Call after call goes out, and right then my phone buzzes with a text. Your temporary large transfer authorization is now active. Please complete your personal large transfer within 2 hours. This feature is available under transfers. Thank you for banking with us. Wishing you great success. Give it here. Rocco reaches for my phone, opens the banking app, and quickly types in his own account. Moments later, his own phone buzzes with a transfer confirmation, and he hands my phone back to me. Then he picks up his own phone and starts wiring money out to several accounts, different amounts each time. Some in the millions, some over 10 million, and 2 transfers of more than 20 million each. A few more minutes pass. A steady stream of text alerts keeps chiming, and Rocco picks up his phone, checking each outgoing transfer, then brings the money back around, this time as a loan into his company account, then uses that company account to make the loan repayment. Once it's all done, he scrolls through his contacts and places one more call. Hey Grady, did it come through? Then this loan's officially settled, huh? Ha ha ha. Must have run into some kind of guardian angel. Sure, so about my new loan. Alright, give it 2 days, we'll sit down and talk it through. They keep talking a moment longer, then the call ends. Rocco visibly exhales, relief spreading across his face, grinning ear to ear, though his forehead is still slick with sweat, a clear sign of just how much pressure he'd been under. Kid, thank you. Anytime you need something from me down the road, don't hesitate, just say the word. He wipes his brow and waves his bodyguards over, takes a folder from one of them, and pulls out a stack of contracts. Take a look. Sign it if everything checks out. This is the best positioned building at Willowbrook Residences. I'd held it back deliberately, planning to sell once prices climbed higher. But it's all yours now, kid. Call it my way of saying thanks. I don't examine it too closely, wouldn't understand the fine print anyway, and to me, all that matters is banking the debt points. If the contract turns out fake, the bank won't go easy on this heavy-set man either. As for me, whatever comes next is just about handling the bank's attempt to reclaim the money. With that settled, I sign the contract. We each press our thumbprints and seals, take 1 copy apiece, and the deal is officially done. Kid, this money of yours. Rocco grows curious. Whether I should ask or not, why not? The bank sent it by mistake, I say flatly. You're kidding me, right? Rocco clearly doesn't believe me. I pull up the text message and show him, and Rocco sucks in a sharp breath, then gives me a thumbs up. Kid, you're something else. A real hardcore player. This could land you in prison. No wonder you're not afraid of making enemies. Prison? Not necessarily, I say with a knowing tone. The bank can't dodge responsibility for city infrastructure funds. Once my money's spent, it's your money the bank is really after. Rocco catches on immediately, and his scalp prickles with dread, especially since he's the one who helped open the large transfer authorization. Ugh, this is bad. He had originally assumed I'd embezzled from a company, or that it was some overseas fund, the kind of money you just fight in court over, thinking to himself, I'll just stall you and there's nothing you can do about it. But this is bank money, and a local bank's money at that. This is a bombshell. He instantly regrets it. Grady, up at the provincial level, is bound to get dragged in too. Everyone's completely finished. He can forget about ever getting a construction loan again. The whole thing's a disaster. Try to look on the bright side, I say again, smiling. You're in deep water now, and so is whoever you called at the bank. City infrastructure money has vanished, and the bank is desperate for it back. But where's the money? You don't have it, so the bank has no choice but to lend you more so construction can continue. Only when the building is finished does anyone see actual money. Everyone comes out fine, everyone survives. No more stalled project, and you've made it through the crisis. And if Cloud C Group still wants to make a move, they'll have to think twice about who's standing behind you now. The bank, the city, and all those homeowners who won't stop protesting. This is the best path forward. Everyone gets stable footing again, and once your building's finished, and the one I bought sells, the price will have doubled by then. The bank not only gets its money back, it profits handsomely. So would they really refuse this? And even if they did, someone out there would happily trade 80 million now for 150 million a year from today, wouldn't they? I might not even end up in prison. Everyone here has a bright future ahead. Rocco processes it all, and the more he thinks it through, the more it checks out. He stares at me, unable to hide his astonishment. This young man is downright uncanny. From nothing more than a mistaken bank transfer, he's found a way to turn Cloud C's siege of Rocco Realty into his own opening, ready to pull off a deal with nothing on the line. Something in Rocco's eyes shifts. On the ride back, Rocco sits in the back seat of his Mercedes, and the more he replays it, the more unfathomable I seem to him. Incredible. Absolutely incredible, he murmurs. That young man, all from a bank's mistake, has pulled off something this big, snatching chestnuts straight from the fire. Truly extraordinary. He's really that impressive, one of the bodyguards asks, unable to resist his curiosity. Even more than you'd guess, Rocco says, sounding almost mystical. You're only seeing the surface, thinking he's just risking it all for a payout. With moves like his, the day he goes to prison will be the very day his name spreads across the country. And in this day and age, once you have a name, you have everything. He'd have every chance to put that terrifying mind of his to work again and rise back up. Plenty of people would line up to invest in him during his darkest hour. At worst, he could take a corner office job at some company and eventually become a full-fledged elite. A true success story, and even in the worst case, this story alone would make him an internet sensation, and he'd still cash in plenty. Honestly, he might not even end up in prison. If it weren't for how deeply this whole thing is entangled, risking suspicion of an organized scheme, I'd want to bring him onto my own team. The bodyguard is startled. I thought it was just cleverness. I never imagined it was genuine brilliance. This man has the mind of a master strategist, orchestrating everything from behind the scenes, using himself as a piece on the board, outplaying fate itself. Rocco nods, fully agreeing, then says gravely, good, as long as you understand. Keep quiet about today for now, got it? Understood, boss. What? The transfer didn't go through? A mistake? That can't be right. I checked every single digit. There's no way I got it wrong. Are you sure? This is insane. The two account numbers are off by 8 digits. I got it completely wrong. I know. I'm coming right now. In a slightly aged, traditional-style courtyard house, a young woman goes from confident to panicked in under a minute. What's wrong? Why the rush? Whatever it is, can't it wait until after dinner? A middle-aged man in an apron speaks softly, still holding 2 dishes in his hands, and he says, with a hint of reproach, you always complain I'm too busy to spend time with you, and today I finally got home early to cook, and this is how you treat me? Dad, the young woman's face has gone pale. I made a huge mistake. A transfer went to the wrong account, 80 million. The man's brow furrows slightly. Then he nods, calm and unbothered, and says, learn from this. Be careful with your work. Money doesn't just vanish into thin air, just get it back, no big deal. Don't worry too much, and if you get reprimanded, take it. Chalk it up as a lesson learned. If you get fired, find another job, no big deal either. Never rush into things, rushing never solves anything. Plan carefully before acting, and think things through. Ugh, alright, always with the lectures. I'm heading out. The young woman feels a headache coming on, slips on her shoes, grabs her keys, and hurries out the door. Buzz, buzz, buzz. My phone won't stop vibrating. I glance at the unknown number and hit speaker. Hello? An anxious voice comes through, soft and delicate, young sounding. This is Zane, I say. Hello, Mr. Zane, I'm sorry to bother you. I sent a wire transfer to the wrong account 2 hours ago, and I just checked. The money's already been transferred out. May I ask what you used it for? The soft-spoken girl sounds anxious, but she's remarkably polite about it, her tone genuinely respectful. A flicker of guilt hits me. This girl is probably about to lose her job over this. I should find some way to make it up to her later. I bought a stalled property, I say calmly. A unit at Willowbrook Residences. The developer ran out of money to keep building, so I just went ahead and bought the whole thing with the 80 million, so now he has funds to keep construction going. Don't worry. Once the building's finished, I'll sell it, and the moment I get the money, I'll pay it right back to you. The girl is stunned into silence, her voice cracking like she might start crying. Please tell me you're joking. You bought into a stalled project? What if the developer never finishes it? Haha, if he doesn't finish it, well, there's still you guys, isn't there? I can't resist teasing her, laughing. Your bank already put in 80 million. Might as well chip in a bit more, become the one left holding the bag. Once it's finished, you'll still profit either way. We're a finance bank, bank, not a real estate company. The girl's panic spikes. And right then, a burst of chaotic noise erupts on the other end, and suddenly someone else picks up the phone. Hello, this is Foster, branch president of Ashford Bank. I'm warning you, this money was sent in error. That makes it illegally obtained, and you will go to prison for it. Then come and arrest me. I say flatly. By the time I did any of this, I'd already accepted the possibility of prison. I live at Unit 6, 6th floor, apartment 4, Culture Street, Willow Lane. Go ahead and call the police then. Are you determined to be a deadbeat about this? Foster is furious, barely containing himself. Don't get worked up. Losing your temper won't solve anything, just think it over carefully, and if you're still stuck, go ahead and file a report. He doesn't seem to take the hint, still hasn't caught on. I don't bother explaining further and just hang up. Let him cool down first. The nerve of this guy, absolutely brazen. In the conference room at Ashford Branch, faces reflect a mix of emotions. Some look bewildered, others stunned, a few grim, though plenty are secretly relieved it isn't their problem, except the soft-spoken girl, who sits there dazed, her mind clearly elsewhere, weighed down with worry. How does anyone even manage to send a wire to the wrong account? President Foster snaps, turning to point at the girl, his finger trembling slightly. This is no small matter, and if it's reported up the chain, it's not just her career on the line, he could go down with her too. President, what do we do now? Someone asks. Should we call the police? No, wait. President Foster sits back in his chair, brow furrowed in thought for a moment, then suddenly says, right, run an investigation. An ordinary person couldn't transfer this much money on their own. Someone must have helped him. Could there be an insider involved? Also, check Rocco's accounts. Trace where the money went, use every connection we have. This can't stay hidden, but if we can give upper management a resolution, get the money back, they won't press this too hard. Even though the amount is significant, in the end it's just a wrong transfer error. Understood. Everyone's expressions shift slightly. Just the word insider is enough to send a chill through the room, and their eyes drift unconsciously toward the girl, whose face has drained of color as well. Her mistake was genuine, a simple work error, but if she gets labeled an insider, that turns it into complicity. But at this point, no one has time to notice her distress. President Foster slams the table. Let's get to work, everyone. Documents pile up quickly on President Foster's desk, and as he reads through them, his expression turns to disbelief. Everyone around him mirrors it, unable to process what they're seeing. This man had the money for less than 20 minutes before it was already gone. Such decisiveness. President, Rocco's account moved the money into 8 separate accounts in under a minute after it landed, all corporate accounts. 2 of them aren't small businesses either. One's registered in the provincial capital, and there's a local Ashford City company involved too. We called to check, and they confirmed it was Rocco settling a debt. President, and based on my investigation into Rocco and his company accounts, those 8 companies wired the money right back to his corporate account within minutes, this time labeled as loans. 8 separate transfers, totaling exactly 80 million. This is money laundering, an organized operation. And it gets even more outrageous. President, Rocco's corporate account sent the money to the head office within 3 minutes of receiving it, labeled as a loan repayment, and the officer overseeing that loan is Vice President Grady. At head office, we've confirmed it, President. According to the head office reply, the temporary large transfer authorization on Zane's account was activated after a phone call from Vice President Grady, requesting a colleague there to process it. Wait, the insider is Vice President Grady? Disbelief ripples through the room. President Foster looks like he's been struck dumb. The insider's up the chain from him, and he grabs his phone and dials immediately. Grady used to be his mentor, someone who climbed the ranks starting right here at Ashford Branch. If Grady's in trouble, President Foster can't escape it either. Hey old mentor, you're in serious trouble. I mean it, I'm not messing with you, and I'm not wishing this on you. Something huge just happened. 80 million. It's tied to that large transfer authorization you approved. Alright, I'll wait for your call. The call ends, and President Foster drops into his chair, head spinning. It was just a wrong transfer. How did it spiral into something this massive? Cases like this used to be recovered without any trouble at all. Ashford City is the capital of East River Province, and both the head office and the branch operate here. In the Vice President's office at head office, Grady dials the number in a rage, so furious he's nearly on the verge of a stroke. You son of a bitch, what have you done? You had me open a large transfer authorization for dirty money. Have you lost your mind, Rocco? A calm voice replies on the other end. Have I lost my mind, Grady? This is the only lifeline I have left. Do you really think this is madness? Vice President Grady falls silent, a splitting headache setting in. It's like running into someone with absolutely nothing left to lose. This has nothing to do with me. Refusing your loan and pressing for repayment, that was another vice president, a man named Chow. I don't care who did it. We're both buried in this hole now. If we live together. If we go down together. Live together, my ass, Vice President Grady says, straining to hold back his fury. If this ever gets reported, I'm finished. Do you understand that? No, you've still got a way out. Rocco repeats the plan I laid out for him, this time over the phone. So do you see it now? You're already in deep water. There's no choice left. And think about it this way. Once this building is finished, it'll be worth 1.5 billion. Keep it under the bank's control, and you'd be a hero for landing it. Or hand it over to a private buyer, and in 1 year, that's a clean 70 million profit. The choice is yours. As long as this whole thing settles quietly, I'm fine, you're fine, Ashford Branch is fine, Zane is fine, everybody comes out clean. Everyone here has a bright future ahead. Selling an entire building for 80 million stings, even for Rocco, but he has no other option. Cloud C Group's influence runs too deep, nobody wants to cross them. Simply surviving this is already the best he can hope for. If it weren't for my unexpected arrival, his fate would have already been sealed. Vice President Grady falls silent after hearing it out. Had this happened even a day earlier, he would never have agreed to help. A profit in the tens of millions. Of course he wants that, but taking it means crossing Cloud C Group, one of Ashford City's most powerful pillar enterprises, and right now, the only way through this is to make it too big to bury quietly. quietly, dragging bigger names into the water alongside him. He has no choice now but to save himself, even if it means throwing in his own money to do it. Is that kid willing to sign the contract over? That's 70 million in profit. Surely you two shouldn't get to walk away with a clean sweep, right? Rocco hears this and knows Grady is folding, and laughs. Well, staying out of prison counts for something, and without your help pulling strings, he wouldn't have made a dime either, so it's still negotiable. Maybe he takes less, or maybe there's some other condition he wants. All of it's on the table. After all, this whole thing involves Cloud Sea Group. Vice President Grady grimaces again. Cloud Sea Group standing in this province, you know exactly how powerful they are. One flick of their finger and you nearly went bankrupt. I can't shoulder that kind of pressure. I need to make sure the profit is worth it, worth dragging others down with me. Whether you can shoulder it or not, you'll have to, because the only other option is going down alone, Rocco says calmly. This is our only shot. The stage has already been set for us, and if I don't seize this chance now, wouldn't that just make me a laughingstock in front of that young man? Sorry, Grady, but damn it, I'm all in. Vice President Grady slams the table. At this point in my career, they can't just fire me. I've got backing too. Someone up there will want this money enough to weather the storm with us. That loan you applied for earlier, I'm approving it. Once this is settled, the funds will land. The rest is on you now. You can count on me. Rocco laughs with real satisfaction. I've got a few tricks left up my sleeve in this town too, and every favor Cloud Sea has spent years quietly building here gets burned through in one shot. Crossing industries is like crossing mountains. A company that built its fortune on bottled water, meddling recklessly in real estate. How much real footing do they actually have in this field? Alright, that's settled then. Vice President Grady, still irritated, hangs up the phone directly, draws a deep breath, and, with new resolve, picks up his phone once more and dials out. Hello, old mentor. There's a situation on my end. I was wondering if you might be able to— Yes, alright, no problem. Tomorrow morning works for me, I'll be waiting. Back at Ashford Branch, Foster hangs up his phone, letting out a breath of relief, and looks toward the room. Everyone is watching him closely, waiting for an answer. Foster smiles and says, "This has been resolved. Someone will be coming by first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll go handle it personally. It shouldn't affect our branch at all now. Everyone go home and rest. We're done for the day." Finally, it's over. A collective sigh of relief sweeps the room, and everyone rises, filing out one after another. The soft-spoken girl looks at Foster with pleading eyes. He considers for a moment, then says, "Ren, go home and reflect on this. Learn from it. If this whole situation resolves cleanly, you'll be fine. If it doesn't, I understand. Ren nods rapidly, secretly relieved. None of the rest matters, as long as she isn't branded a conspirator or an insider. Late that night, Ren rides her electric bike home, and just as she changes out of her shoes, the light flicks on. She realizes then that her father is still sitting on the couch, phone in hand. Dad, her eyes well up, a rush of warmth cutting through the stress, mixed with a lingering ache. She walks over and sits beside him. Her father remains unbothered as ever and asks simply, "Is it resolved?" "I think so, though it's probably not fully over yet." She sounds uncertain, and Ren walks him through everything that happened, step by step. Her father listens quietly, thinking it over, then suddenly chuckles. "This is genuinely interesting. The chief family branch of Cloud Sea Group came away with nothing to show for their scheming this time. That's actually a good thing. Rocco Realty's homeowners have been protesting for days now, and it's always better when things resolve on their own." "You're laughing about this?" "I was scared out of my mind," Ren says, exasperated. "You have no idea. They were suspecting an insider was involved. I nearly got branded a conspirator. If I had, you'd have been ruined too." "Not a chance. Not even a little." Her father's voice rises slightly, carrying an edge of quiet authority. Then he softens, smiling gently as he comforts his daughter. "This whole thing wouldn't hold up under scrutiny. Just put your mind at ease. I still don't know how it's going to play out. God, I might really lose my job over this." Ren lets out a long sigh. Her father rises with a smile and says, "Wherever there's profit to be made, someone will come to claim it. No one moved in on this before because of Cloud Sea Group's reputation. But now some fearless young man has kicked Cloud Sea's reputation straight into the mud. So naturally, everyone's hesitation just disappeared. And Rocco Realty, sure, they took a real loss selling that building at a bargain, but against a life-or-death crisis, that loss barely registers. And that young man they call Zane, whether he realizes it or not, has thoroughly burned his bridges with Cloud Sea Group. As for what comes next, everything simply resets to normal for a while. Cloud Sea took a massive loss, Rocco Realty made out like a bandit, and as for this Zane, whether he ends up profiting or losing, that all depends on how he plays it from here. If this wasn't sheer coincidence, then there's a truly formidable mind behind it, and even if it was pure luck, the fact he could seize the moment and pull chestnuts straight from the fire says this Zane is no ordinary young man, sharp-minded, unconventional in how he operates, a genuine talent, and you, sweetheart, you're just collateral in all of it, so don't overthink it. Get some rest early, and no staying up late. Back at my rented apartment, I wait a good while, but no police show up. Taking the hint, I order some takeout, eat a few bites without much thought, then spend hours scrolling my phone, getting a feel for this world, and eventually lie down early, replaying everything that happened today in my head. It genuinely feels like a dream. The next morning, I wake up early, the first natural, uninterrupted sleep my body has had in a long while, and I feel genuinely refreshed. Once I finish washing up, I boil some noodles and eat, then turn on the television. It's playing the morning news, Ashford City's morning broadcast. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the morning news. Today's headlines: a college student was praised yesterday for heroically rescuing a child from drowning, Resident Chow Chuan won first place at the regional Go tournament, and Mayor Locke attended the inspection ceremony for a city infrastructure project. Everything on screen remains calm and orderly, the nation at peace, as if yesterday's events had never even happened. But right at that moment, a knock comes at the door. I turn off the television, stand up and open it. Two people are standing outside, one one young man, one middle-aged man. Hello Zane, I'm Sterling. Good to finally meet you. The young man extends his hand. He's lean, dressed in a well-tailored suit with a warm, refined smile. Hello. I return the smile and invite both of them inside. Seeing how modest my rented apartment is, the two of them only grow more curious about me. Calm and composed, handling something this massive without a hint of nerves, orchestrating every move, seizing the moment, turning a single accident into all of this, and showing not a trace of fear, but instead radiating pure confidence, as though victory is already assured. So calm, so effortless, so composed. Is this really an ordinary kid from nowhere? Where does his confidence even come from? Both men are astonished, admiration mixing with a quiet growing unease. Because dealing with a man like this, today's negotiation probably won't go as smoothly as they'd hoped. Sit, I say, gesturing them toward seats. What would you like to drink? I'll have a cough. Actually, water's fine. Sterling starts to answer out of habit, then catches himself halfway through, realizing that asking for coffee in a place like this would be absurd. There's no hot water, I think. I glance at the kettle, think it over, then get up and pull 2 large bottles of iced tea from beside the couch, setting them in front of my guest with a grin. Tea it is then, party size, more bang for your buck. Does this even count as tea? Foster stays quiet, but Sterling doesn't seem to mind at all. Honestly, back in school I used to love this stuff, haven't had it in years. Sure, why not? This works. I have to admit, compared to someone like Preston, a spoiled second-generation businessman, Sterling carries himself with far more restraint and maturity. You two didn't come here just for the drinks, did you? Seeing that Sterling is showing genuine respect, I get straight to the point. This man seems solid, composed and unhurried, warm and easygoing, whether it's genuine or simply well-practiced. Either way, it tells me he isn't the type I'd dislike, and he's shown me plenty of respect already. We're here about the building in your hands. Foster speaks up, his tone grave. That building was bought with bank funds. Even though the transfer was a mistake, the money is technically illegally obtained. We've discussed it, and since a mistake was made, we intend to make it right. The city infrastructure fund will be reissued, and this whole matter can quietly go away. You won't face prison, but the building belongs to us. That seems like a fair trade, doesn't it? I hear this and smile. Let's do it this way instead. I'll be the one to make it right. The building stays mine, and I'll arrange for someone to give you 80 million. The problem gets solved either way, doesn't it? Foster falls silent. All right, Uncle Foster, that's enough testing him. Sterling rubs his forehead, sounding exasperated. Zane isn't naive, handing over a building worth 150 million after New Year's. And honestly, if we dig into this too deep, Zane won't be the only one caught in the fallout. The real reason I came today is to help you both, you and Uncle Grady, get through this mess. The profit really isn't the priority here. We're all in this together now, and since we're all here to fix a mistake and settle this once and for all, let's just lay everything out on the table. He turns to look at me. Zane, this whole situation involves Cloud Sea Group and Ashford Branch, plus Vice President Grady at head office. Simply can't withstand that kind of pressure alone. If you refuse to let this go, everyone loses. Ashford Branch takes the fall, Uncle Grady loses his position, you go to prison, and Rocco never gets his loan. The project stays stalled, and in the end, Cloud Sea Group wins anyway. My grandfather could weather this storm, but even so, coming here to help Uncle Grady and Uncle Foster get out of it still means making an enemy of Cloud Sea for us. So go ahead, tell me your terms. As long as it's reasonable, I have the authority to approve it. Now we're getting somewhere. I hear this, smile faintly, and glance at Foster before saying, truth is, I'm not even interested in the building, but I am very interested in owing money. So here's the deal. 80 million, you lend me 80 million, and the building becomes yours. And by this time next year, once the building sells for 1.5 billion, I'll repay the 80 million I borrowed, principal and interest included. Essentially no strings attached, pure profit for you. That's not going to happen. Sterling shakes his head, sounding genuinely regretful. It's not that I don't trust you, but the fact is, you've never had any business experience. If I hand you 80 million, I'd be lucky to see even 80,000 of it come back. Here's my counteroffer then. 10 million. I'll give you 10 million. You sign the building over to me, and after that, none of this is your problem anymore, essentially. That's 10 million in pure profit for you. What do you say? One accident, pulled straight from the fire, a fortune earned with nothing on the line, you'd be making out incredibly well. If it were me in your position, the money would be secondary. This story alone would make for a lifetime of bragging rights. 10 million, I think it over. That's a substantial amount, but it's earned money, not debt owed, and it doesn't generate any debt points. No points means no technology, and without the technology, what use is 10 million to me? If I actually went into business with it, that would be genuinely foolish. I'd probably end up losing every last cent. I know myself well enough for that. Riches only make sense if I can dominate outright. Running an honest business the ordinary way is a guaranteed disaster. And playing dirty games in the marketplace, I'm still too green for that anyway. Scamming customers, selling out my conscience, none of that suits me. I have a bright future ahead, no need to soil my hands over it. The two sides reach an impasse, clearly neither satisfied with the other's terms. I have an idea. Foster suddenly speaks up, offering a solution. What idea? Sterling and I both turn to look at him. You take the building, Foster points at Sterling, then turns and points at me. And you take the 10 million. Seeing the confusion on both our faces, Foster quickly continues. Then, and this is the important part, Zane, you go set up a business venture, ideally one that sounds impressive but is hard to actually verify the true value of. Then use that venture as collateral to take out a loan from our bank. Would that even work? My eyebrows lift at the suggestion. It sounds reasonable in theory, but pulling it off in practice is another matter entirely. It's doable, Foster says with a nod. Though honestly, if it were just me deciding, I wouldn't dare approve a loan like this even with double the nerve. But above me there's Vice President Grady, and above him there's Sterling's family. The old man there could make something like this happen, as long as it's it's not too obvious, nobody will be able to find fault with it. But there's one crucial thing to understand. Sterling suddenly speaks up, turning to look at me and warns, once this is done, you'll genuinely owe 80 million, and a deal structured with nothing on the line like this will carry extremely high interest. If you can actually leverage that into serious wealth, fine. But if you're just planning to run an ordinary business, I strongly advise you to think this through, because whatever you earn might not even come close to covering the interest. Don't blow this, or you really will end up in prison. Don't worry, I have full confidence in this. I nod. One more thing, Foster adds suddenly. Given the scale of this money and considering your rather unusual circumstances, I need certain guarantees in place. Whatever venture you start, the person managing the finances has to be someone from our bank, and to make sure you're kept safe, our bank will assign 2 bodyguards to look after you. We'll cover their salaries. And finally, the most important condition, if the business you're running runs into a serious loss, we reserve the right to demand immediate repayment at any time. Well, I can't help but reassess Foster with a new level of respect. The finance manager works for you, meaning the money can't be misspent. It has to be used responsibly. The bodyguards work for you too, so this is less about protecting me and more about watching me, in case I try to run. This is the only way, the only legitimate way, for you to actually get your hands on 80 million. Foster gives a bitter smile. Don't look at me like that either. If this goes bust, or if you disappear, the rest of my career is finished. Fine, I accept the terms. I nod. None of that actually matters to me. What matters is the end-of-month tally, banking debt points, converting them into technology, and then unleashing pure domination. Losing money isn't even a possibility. What does a technological beatdown even look like? You play a pair. I play the ultimate trump card. You play a triple. I play the ultimate trump card. You play a single card. I play the ultimate trump card. That's right, every card in my hand is the ultimate trump card. How could I possibly lose? Let's sign the paperwork then. Seeing that I've agreed, Foster doesn't waste any more words. He pulls out the prepared contract, then draws out a blank sheet of paper and says, don't worry about anyone backing out later either. I'll write you a signed pledge. If I go back on my word, I'll go to prison right alongside you. He starts writing quickly, and once finished, presses his thumbprint and signs it, then hands it over to me. Pay attention. No one outside the two of us can ever know this exists. Read through it, and if it's acceptable, I'll seal it up. Once your loan is fully repaid, you must return it to me completely untouched. It cannot be opened under any circumstances in the meantime, because I have no way of knowing whether you'd make a copy of it. Foster's tone is dead serious. I take it, read through it briefly, then nod. Alright, go ahead and seal it. Foster nods at this, pulls out a specialized envelope, folds the pledge and slides it inside, then seals it completely shut, and I can tell right away it's some kind of specialized adhesive, sharp and pungent. Ordinary methods definitely wouldn't be able to retrieve the document without damaging the seal. Alright, let's get your signature. The contract slides across the table toward me, and I sign my name across it quickly. Then Sterling and I press our thumbprints against each other's copies. Pleasure doing business. Sterling lets out a long breath and transfers 10 million to me right there on the spot. Pleasure doing business. I rise to see them out, watching until both men have left. Cloud Sea Group. My brow furrows slightly. Everything I've just orchestrated has thoroughly burned every bridge with Cloud Sea Group. My former self used to work there, so I understand the company inside and out. Cloud Sea Group is no small operation. It's a massive conglomerate spanning multiple industries, worth hundreds of billions, ranked among the top 500 private enterprises nationwide. Its core business built on beverages, bottled water, fruit-flavored soda, and juice, along with health supplements, canned goods, snack foods, instant noodles, and self-heating meal kits. My former self used to work as a food technology specialist there, focused entirely on developing convenience and snack category products. Back when my former self first joined the company, Cloud Sea Group had tried expanding into dairy and finance, and the venture ended in catastrophic losses, with the company's valuation nearly cut in half, only recovering its footing in recent years. Moving into real estate now must be a play by the remaining Chi family executives. Property prices had climbed steadily for years, drawing serious government scrutiny, and various agencies have been tightening the reins to curb runaway growth. Real estate is practically a fading industry at this point. Jumping in at a time like this, is it recklessness, or a desperate bet to grab one last payday before the party ends? Thinking back on Rocco Realty's situation and the internal power struggle within Cloud Sea Group, it clicks for me. It's probably the latter. But since I've already burned that bridge completely, I can't just sit back and do nothing. Waiting around for trouble to find me has never been my style. I'm going to strike first. My attention drifts toward the cheapest items available on the system. Advanced water purification technology, 5,000 debt points. User review reads, honestly, you'd be better off buying a genetic purifier instead. Food and beverage formula optimization technology, 5,000 debt points. User review reads, this one's great, this one's great. Coast through life and enjoy the good times. If I buy both of these technologies, taking down Cloud Sea Group would practically be child's play. No, actually no. My real target should be the world's top beverage brands. Cloud Sea would just be an unfortunate bystander crushed as collateral damage. That settles it. A faint, unreadable smile crosses my face. I pull out my phone and glance at the 10 million sitting in my balance, scroll through my contacts for a moment, and find an old classmate's number. Hey Cole, I heard your hometown is famous as some kind of longevity haven, with water that's supposedly great for your health, and there's a natural reservoir out there too, right? I recently lost my job and I'm thinking about starting something new. Mind if I come check the place out? No need to take time off work, just show me around whenever whenever you get a free moment. Great, it's settled then. I'll book my ticket, head over right now, see you by noon. A little over an hour later, I open my door at an unhurried pace, and the moment I do, 4 people are standing right outside, one of them with a hand raised, mid-knock, and both sides freeze in surprise. Whoa. I catch sight of 2 hulking men and instinctively step back, then finally spot Foster standing behind them. President Foster, what's all this about? I let out a breath of relief. Foster looks equally startled, and he's about to speak when he notices the bag slung over my shoulder, suspicion flashing across his face. Where exactly are you heading? His suspicion isn't unfounded. Now that the deal is finalized, the single person who ended up worst off in this whole affair, aside from Cloud Sea Group itself, is him, since he'd volunteered to handle all the follow-up personally, just to look good in front of Sterling, and had written me that signed pledge as part of the arrangement. At the time, all he'd wanted was to make a good impression on Sterling, but the more he thought it over afterward, the more terrified he became, realizing he'd handed over evidence that could put him behind bars for life, just to impress someone. Was it even worth it? He immediately started calling in favors, recruiting 2 capable ex-military men, then personally selected a qualified accountant, and rushed over here in a hurry, all just to cover his bases in case something went wrong. And now, here he is, catching me right as I look like I'm about to skip town. You don't want that 80 million anymore? Foster's voice trembles as he asks. Of course I do. I blink, taken aback, and looking at Foster's expression, it all clicks into place. I sigh. These are the bodyguards and the finance manager you rounded up, aren't they? I have to say, you're moving a little too fast here. I haven't even gotten the money yet, and you're already showing up with reinforcements. The money in my pocket right now is entirely my own. I don't need anyone managing it. Foster quietly exhales, a wave of relief washing over him. Either way, it won't be long now. Once you've settled on your plans, we'll have everything ready in advance. You can apply for the loan whenever you're ready, and approval will follow immediately. Both of them are on fixed salaries anyway. The pay's the same whether they start early or late, and honestly, isn't this all just to keep you safe? Yeah, right, I'm sure. You mean you're doing this to keep that pledge letter safe? I say, deadpan. I've made plans with an old classmate to check out a business opportunity in his hometown. If it works out, I'll finalize things quickly. I'm not skipping town, so relax. Trust me, I'm even more anxious to see this through than you are. Take them along with you then. Beyond the safety and convenience, if there's ever any heavy lifting or dirty work, she can handle it, Foster says, gesturing toward the 4th person, a young woman standing quietly at his side. I look up at her. She's clearly still young, her cheeks still holding onto a bit of baby fat, dressed in professional attire, youthful and radiant, with features that are genuinely striking without feeling generic. The kind of face that grows more captivating the longer you look, undeniably beautiful. Her, he wants for dirty work? Heavy lifting? Foster, what exactly are you doing here? Is this some kind of payback? I ask, genuinely puzzled. The young woman looks up as well, her wide eyes flashing with a mix of curiosity and indignation. Hello there, my name is Ren. Starting today, I'll be your secretary, assistant, accountant, and personal manager all in one. Our branch president gave me one instruction: don't leave your side for a moment. I hope that's alright with you. Her soft, delicate voice carrying quiet frustration underneath. Ren is secretly hoping I'll turn her down. She has zero interest in taking on this job, but the mistake was hers to begin with, and Foster had assigned her to this on the spot, without even giving her a chance to refuse. Should she just quit outright instead? No, that's not an option. Running from a mistake instead of facing it, her father would lecture her about it for years, and besides, if word got out that she'd quit and fled, that story would spread like wildfire, and she'd be completely finished socially. How could she ever hold her head up in front of friends and family again? She'd be a laughingstock for years to come. You know that girl, right? The one who worked at the bank and sent 80 million to the wrong account, and then just up and quit and ran. That would be her. The thought alone makes her scalp prickle. Taking a deep breath, Ren keeps her eyes fixed on me, blinking curiously, a mix of thoughts running through her head. She had simply sent a transfer to the wrong account, and yet this man had somehow turned it into something extraordinary. So impressive that even her notoriously hard-to-impress father called him a genuine talent. He's so young, how does his mind work like this? And where does he even get the nerve for something like this? Are there really people out there who sees an opportunity without a shred of hesitation? Doesn't he ever hesitate? Doesn't he ever second-guess himself? Doesn't uncertainty ever creep in? Why is he so decisive about all this, when one wrong step could genuinely land him in prison for good? While she's still lost in these thoughts, I catch this familiar, unmistakable voice, and everything suddenly clicks for me too. Oh, you're the one who sent the money to the wrong account, aren't you? Ren's expression darkens instantly, while Foster lets out a short, dry laugh. That's right, this is her, and honestly, a troublemaker like her should be someone else's problem now. My heart can't take this kind of shock anymore. You're putting her in charge of my finances? I'm genuinely surprised, and I pull Foster aside, lowering my voice. Aren't you worried she'll accidentally bankrupt me down the road? Absolutely not. Foster's expression shifts slightly, his own doubts quietly stirring beneath the surface, though outwardly he forces a confident smile. When she first transferred to our branch, I reviewed her file myself. Top-tier university graduate, accounting major, she's got every relevant certification you could ask for. Honestly, I couldn't believe someone with her credentials would even consider a small branch like ours. With a resume like that, she could have easily walked into any top investment bank or major national institution without a second thought. And thinking about it now, this really does feel like fate lining her up specifically for you. Zane, you're the strategist here, and she's the enforcer. Honestly, the two of you are a perfect match, he thinks privately to himself. No wonder a resume this impressive ended up at a small branch like this. Brains reliable, judgment apparently not so much. Should I bring in someone else instead? But she's already here, already brought along, and even if there's an occasional slip-up, it should still stay within a manageable range, and someone as crafty as Zane will surely find a way to handle it. With that settled in his mind, Foster drops any further pretense of formality and says to me, "Zane, let's finalize it then. Whatever you decide to do, take all three of them along with you. Let me introduce them properly. This is Duke and this is Bronson, both skilled veterans who just left the military this year. They'll guarantee your safety without question. What you're really telling me is that there's absolutely no way I'm slipping out of this deal, aren't you?" I shoot back, deadpan. "Fine, let's bring them along then. It's just a few more mouths to feed, a few more tickets to buy, a couple extra beds, so everyone, come along with me." "Alright then kid, you've got things to handle, I'll head back now." Sterling and Rocco went off to hash out business details, and that meeting's probably wrapping up right about now, so I should go see them off. Foster gives a quick farewell nod, and hurries off. Hearing that piece of news, I pause for a moment, mildly caught off guard, realizing that Sterling is probably playing both sides of this deal. No wonder he handed over 10 million so generously, he's almost certainly making even more off of Rocco on the other end. Then again, it makes sense when I really think about it. Crossing Cloud Group outright just for a few tens of millions in profit for me wasn't really worth it for him on its own. Sure, it was framed as saving his own people, but the fact that Rocco actually made it through this crisis comes down entirely to Sterling absorbing that pressure, so giving up a slice of future profit is a completely reasonable price to pay. Alright, let's move. In Ashford City's Gold River New District, the Cloud Group Tower stands tall over the commercial district. Unlike the factories scattered across all of East River Province, and even beyond its borders, the Cloud Group Tower isn't a production site at all. It's the nerve center for sales, distribution networks, and financial operations. The founder of Cloud Group was the late Chi Wanhui, and at one point the entire company belonged solely to the Chi family, a genuine family business. But a few years back, after Chi Wanhui passed away, control shifted to his eldest son, a man driven by considerable ambition, who poured enormous sums into constructing the Cloud Tower and brought in outside investment capital from the finance world, intending to expand the company's reach into finance, livestock farming, and other new industries. Unfortunately, he overreached badly, and within just 2 or 3 years, Cloud Group suffered devastating losses across nearly every new venture, with the company's total assets cut roughly in half. Though after going public, restructuring its equity, and raising additional funding, Cloud Group did eventually recover its footing, but the company that exists today is no longer truly controlled by the Chi family. The Chi family now functions more as a symbolic figurehead, holding less than 15% of total shares, while the rest of the ownership is spread across various outside investors. The eldest of the Chi family may hold the title of chairman on paper, but in reality, he was sidelined long ago, stripped of any genuine authority. Today, Cloud Group's president is a professional executive named Weston. Weston is a man in his 40s, at the peak of his career, having held executive positions across multiple major companies, and thanks to his exceptional capabilities, he was recruited jointly by several investment groups to take on the role of president. Described as youthful and enthusiastic, careful yet full of energy and drive, highly capable, with sharp foresight and genuine strategic vision, this was the consensus assessment from every major recruiting firm that had evaluated him. After taking the helm at Cloud Group, he did lean heavily on outside investors for backing, but within just 2 short months, he had already restructured the entire company internally, pushing through major layoffs while sharpening the remaining core team, and in the process, he'd effectively neutralized the chairman's authority entirely. It's hard to deny, this man's competence is genuinely impressive. Backed by investor trust and employee support, Weston now wields absolute authority within Cloud Group, the same kind of unquestioned power the Chi family once held. Right now, an internal meeting is underway. A large screen displays the full sequence of events, laid out through text and images, presenting the complete situation clearly to everyone in the room. A woman in formal business attire speaks up flatly. "That covers the full sequence of events, and while I personally never supported the company's move into an industry as clearly fading as real estate, given that this has already happened, we absolutely cannot allow Cloud Group's reputation to be trampled into the ground like this, as it would directly damage how our investors evaluate the company. So I'm hoping everyone from the Chi family, along with everyone else in this room, can come forward with a real solution." "Manager Vesper, you're talking a bit too much," Preston suddenly interjects from below, his expression sour. "Am I really the one talking too much here?" Vesper's sharp, composed expression doesn't flicker as she replies, "If you lack the capability, don't act. The more you do, the more mistakes pile up and the more embarrassment follows." "What I just said, Manager Chi, what's your take on that?" "You," Preston erupts, shooting to his feet in fury. Weston, seated at the head of the table, raises a hand. "That's enough, sit down, no arguing. What I need right now is a real solution." "Preston, listen to me, sit down." Seated in the secondary position of authority is the head of the Chi family, none other than current chairman Roland. Everyone in the room quietly exhales in relief, the tension from the power struggle above them weighing heavily. Our contact at head office has already sent word there's significant pressure coming from above. Vice President Chow says there's nothing he can do to help. Someone speaks up. "Based on our investigation, it appears the province's chief financial regulator personally intervened." Another voice adds, "Could the investors possibly help smooth things over on their end?" Roland turns to Weston. "That's no longer possible. Some matters run deeper than pure business interests. There are layers beneath the surface here. Call it an unfortunate twist of fate, I suppose." Weston shakes his head. "So we're just supposed to give up on this?" Preston refuses to let it go, especially seeing that all too familiar face displayed on the presentation screen, and his teeth grind together in barely contained rage. Is this some kind of revenge? All because of one woman he'd wronged? If so, this retaliation seems dramatically out of proportion. From this point forward, the Chi family's control over Cloud Group has slipped down yet another tier, and in his mind he blames her entirely, wishing he could go back and confront her her outright. But short of giving up, what other option is there? In this business, relationships and unwritten rules have always mattered. That aggressive, bulldozer approach investors tend to favor simply doesn't hold up here. An executive with overseas experience speaks up, unbothered. Alright, enough. Weston raises his hand again. It's just Rocco Realty, a minor player in the grand scheme. Sure, the investment loss isn't trivial, but it's still within an acceptable range. Any investment carries risk, nothing is ever guaranteed, and frankly, we should have planned for potential failure before we ever committed to this, and how to handle it if things went south. Granted, the unexpected variable in all this is nothing more than some minor player named Zane, and it's not the Cloudsea Group can't afford to lose here. The real issue is that we cannot afford to lose to someone this ordinary and insignificant, especially not to someone our own company let go in the past. What I need all of you focused on now is figuring out exactly how to salvage our reputation and prevent our investor rating from taking a hit. The moment those words leave his mouth, the entire conference room falls into complete silence. Just as Weston had said, losing is a normal part of business, but losing to an absolute nobody, that's another matter entirely. This isn't just about being annoyed. It's about how we save face, how we protect our reputation. You call it an accident, but outsiders actually have to believe that. Right now, our job is to keep the rumors under control. Either we make it look like Cloudsea Group lost without losing face, or we make sure the world knows Cloudsea Group is not to be messed with. Alright, meeting adjourned. Anyone with a solution, come find me in my office. After waiting a moment with no answer, Weston couldn't sit still any longer and reluctantly got up. The instant he and Roland left, the conference room erupted into chaos. The executives all started talking at once. This is a tough one. From the file, that guy's basically got nothing to lose. We just fired him, and word is he's sick too. Even revenge is hard to pull off here. Yeah, he's got no weak spots. There's nothing to target. What if we expose the real story behind this? Are you insane? This can only be discussed privately. Do you know how many people are involved? As long as the higher-ups stay clean, doing this is like kicking a monk who can't fight back. Exactly. This can't touch anyone at the top. He hasn't lost a single thing. If this really gets out, we'll be a joke, outsmarted by someone we fired ourselves. If there's really no other way, we go back to the old trick. Hyping him up could work. If we make him sound impressive enough, our loss won't look shameful. I don't think that's realistic. Hyping up a big institution is one thing, but how do you hype up a single guy? Even if a legendary strategist came back to life, people would need a reason to believe it. This is a bit too far-fetched. It's not just that hyping him up sounds far-fetched. The more I think about what this guy actually pulled off, the more insane it seems. You're only just realizing that? That presentation left me speechless. I was completely stunned. My head is still ringing. Talent like that and someone decided to fire him? What a colossal mistake. Absolutely absurd. Back in the president's office, Weston dropped into his chair, had his secretary pour him tea, and pressed his fingers against his temples. What kind of mess is this? Any idea the other executives could think of, he could think of too. Except every one of those ideas was either impossible to carry out, or even more absurd if he actually tried. In the business world, the trick of spinning a loss into a win is a well-known strategy. When two sides clash, the loser often goes all in on the hype. That way, the winner looks gracious. And it's not that we're weak, it's that the other side was simply too strong. In the end, it's basically a quiet surrender, giving everyone enough face to just move past it. They say business is war, but there's a truer saying, there are only permanent interests, and no permanent enemies. In business, every fight comes down to profit. Lose, and you give up the profit, but that doesn't have to make you enemies for life. After all, there's always more money to be made. You might even end up working together again down the line. Going for blood is rare, and it rarely lasts long in this world. Chairman, the secretary suddenly stepped forward and whispered, the convenience foods development supervisor from the technical department says he has a solution, and he's waiting outside. Oh? Weston said, a little surprised. Wasn't Zane in that same department? This is the one who signed off on firing him. Send him in. I'd like to see what he's got. Moments later, the secretary let a young man in. He stood tall and straight-backed, dressed sharply, brimming with confidence, carrying himself like he already had the win locked in. And the key detail, he wasn't a member of the Preston family, yet he'd landed a supervisor seat at this age. Could there be a hidden genius in this company? Had Weston really overlooked someone this whole time, letting a strategist like Zane walk away while a talent like this stood right in front of him, unrecognized? Weston mulled it over silently, thinking it was time to conduct a full talent review across the entire company. After watching what Zane had pulled off, ordinary corporate warfare suddenly looked almost embarrassingly plain to him. He used to think the tales of ancient war strategists were exaggerated, romanticized fiction, that with limited information, no amount of brilliance could let someone command a war from 1,000 miles away. But today, he suddenly felt he needed to revisit those old stories. Pulling chestnuts from the fire, forging and breaking alliances, Zane had just given him a real-world lesson. Good day, Chairman. The young man's confidence only sharpened Weston's anticipation. My secretary tells me you have a solution? Whatever it is, say it. Whether it works or not, I won't hold it against you. Weston kept his tone humble, almost unconsciously channeling the gracious leader routine he'd seen in period dramas. Thank you, Chairman. The young man, visibly excited, started with an apology. I'm sorry, Chairman. I'm the one who oversees the technical department. I was the one who signed off on firing Zane. He had a medical condition, and he'd been overworked for too long. I was worried he'd cause the company unexpected losses. And after everything that happened, I feel the full weight of that responsibility. I feel I've failed the company. After all, he came out of my department. I took every precaution, but it wasn't enough. He still caused the company this massive loss. The man is infuriating. And to think we even paid him a generous severance. Since he was one of my people, the moment I heard what happened, I immediately had someone look into him. As far as I know, he mentioned in a private private employee group chat that he wanted to buy an unfinished development. Very few people knew our plan targeting Rocco Realty Group. Someone must have leaked it. We could charge him and the leaker with corporate espionage and have them both thrown in prison. Not viable. Weston shook his head, disappointed. Too many people already know about this. And frankly, this was the Preston family using their reputation to go after Rocco Realty Group. There's no actual secret involved, so corporate espionage won't stick. The young man's eyes flickered. But I've already tracked down where he is. He went down to Moonlight Lake in Way County. He's already sick. If someone were to just give him a push. Wait. A bad feeling settled over Weston. How do you know where he went? Did you have someone tail him? No. The young man shook his head, and Weston let out a breath of relief. Then the young man smiled. I had his file, I knew his address, so I sent 5 men to follow him. Now all it takes is your word, Chairman. Those 5 find somewhere quiet, push him straight into the lake, and no one's the wiser. No one would ever trace it back to us. That way, not only does he learn his lesson, but anyone smart enough to understand won't dare look down on Cloudsea Group again. Bang! Weston shot to his feet, slamming his fist onto the desk. His face flushed red as he roared, "Get the hell out of my office!" The young man froze, completely thrown. "Get out!" Weston bellowed again. Terrified, the young man scrambled out of the office in a panic. Startled by the noise, the secretary rushed in. "Find out who hired that man, who he reports to, who's under him, whether he's connected to the Preston family. If he is, fire them. Fire every last one of them." Weston was seething. The secretary immediately hurried off. Weston stood there breathing hard, still furious. He paced the office, picked up his water glass to take a sip, then hurled it to the floor in anger instead. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. I'd heard the Prestons played dirty, but I never imagined this dirty. I signed on to be a corporate executive, not to run some criminal outfit. They wanted to drag me down with them. The more Weston thought about it, the angrier and more terrified he became. Thankfully, he'd never promised a reward for solving the problem. He'd only asked for a concrete solution. If he'd worded it any differently, Zane would probably already be at the bottom of that lake, and Weston would have become the man pulling the strings behind it. Breaking out in a cold sweat, Weston grabbed his phone and dialed. "Hello, Supervisor Vesper. Come to my office. I've uncovered some issues. There are still problems within the company, and there may be some more layoffs I need you to handle." After hanging up the phone, Weston sank into his chair and rubbed his temples. Damn it, what kind of person even does that? This isn't even his own company. He's just an employee. How much does he even make in a year? Risking his life over it? What did the Prestons even give him? Moonlight Lake, Way County. Autumn wind drifts across the water, the ripples gently swaying. I sit cross-legged in a small boat, completely at ease. Ren, meanwhile, is off brewing tea for herself, killing time. I pull out my phone, meaning to nudge my old classmate to hurry up, and find a wall of messages waiting for me instead. Milo, from finance, tags me. "You bought an entire building? Weren't you too broke to afford a real house? That's why you bought a stalled project? And now you own a whole building of one?" Paige, from general affairs. "Wait, is this real?" Someone tags me. "Boss got rich the moment he left the company. Did you realize working was no fun and go collect $1 billion inheritance instead?" Nadia, from HR. "It's real. I saw the internal meeting documents myself. The name matches. The photo matches. It's him." Trent, from technical, tags me. "A whole building?" Reggie, from quality control. "Oh wow, our young Master Zane is that rich? So why was he still borrowing from us to survive?" Marcus, from sales. "I always knew people are built differently. Some of us are born to grind like pack mules, and some of us just ride the horse, no matter how convincingly they pretend otherwise." Kendra, from technical. "He tried borrowing from me too and I said no. Man, what a loss. Boss, let me on that bandwagon." Someone else tags me. Beyond the group chat, my private messages are flooded too. Milo, from finance. "Please, I'm begging you. Do not tell anyone I leaked that information to you or I'm finished. You have no idea what you just set off. The whole company is in an uproar and management is losing their minds." I reply, "Okay, I'll make it up to you, big time." That's Milo, from finance. I check the next message. It's from the supervisor above my old supervisor. "Do you understand what you've done? Why would you do this? The company owes you nothing. You should be grateful." I reply with one word, "Idiot." Then I block and delete him. The next message is from Simone, that awful woman. Simone's message reads, "Where did you suddenly get all this money? Didn't you say you'd give me everything? Liar. What a cheap, stingy little man. Even if you had money, someone as tight-fisted as you could never compare to Preston." On and on it goes. My eye twitches reading it. Without hesitation, I reply, "I didn't give you everything actually. There's still one thing I never gave you. Wasn't your mother sick this whole time? I'll be sure to send you her ashes when the time comes." Block, delete, done in one smooth motion. What kind of person is that? I mutter to myself. Well, that was certainly an education. Just then my phone rings. I look up to see someone on the shore, waving with a phone in hand. We pull up to shore and soon the man climbs aboard. He glances between Ren, Bronson, and Duke, clearly surprised. "Hey Zane, is this your girlfriend? And these two are—" I wave the idea off. "I'm single. This is my assistant Ren, and these two are Bronson and Duke, bodyguard, assistant, bodyguard." Coop stares, jaw dropped. "What is going on with you?" "I'm here investing in your Way County." I smile and point at Moonlight Lake. "Coop, I'm planning to build a water plant right here, producing bottled water and beverages. What do you think?" "Are you kidding me?" Coop asks, dazed. "Well, for starters, Moonlight Lake does connect to an underground river, so the water supply is endless, and Way County does have that whole land of longevity reputation, but there's no mineral content here. This is just plain river water. Someone was literally peeing by the riverbank a minute ago. You think you can actually sell this? Only a fool would buy it as is. The whole point is turning the impossible into the possible." I put on a confident face, though privately I'm thinking, honestly, anywhere more legitimate I couldn't afford anyway. "No, seriously, what is going on with you?" Coop sits down, dumbfounded. dumbfounded, glancing between Ren, the 2 bodyguards and me. It feels like a dream to him. Wasn't this guy a pathetic simp not long ago? How did he suddenly strike it rich? I gaze out at the sunlit lake, its waters shimmering, and say, this lake is a natural reservoir. Why hasn't it been developed into a tourist spot? You're actually serious about this? Coop still can't quite believe it, but he answers anyway. Ashford City is the provincial capital. There are plenty of scenic spots nearby. Way County technically falls under Ashford's jurisdiction, but it's still pretty remote, and on top of that, most young people from Way County have already left to work in Ashford City. Our local economy here in Way County barely moves forward, let alone tourism. This reservoir is beautiful, no question, but it's too out of the way. Turning it into a scenic area would require a massive overhaul, and it just isn't worth it. The county actually considered it once before, but after weighing everything, they dropped the idea. But if you're serious about leasing this reservoir, I'll warn you now, the price won't be cheap. Coop worked within the local government system. Way County was his hometown, and after graduating, he'd come back and taken the civil service exam. He knew everything about this place inside and out. How much? I ask. Hard to say exactly. Coop frowned slightly, thinking it over. This reservoir isn't small, but it's not huge either. Since it connects to an underground river, aquaculture isn't even an option here. I remember a few years back someone wanted to lease it, but after bringing in experts to survey it, they gave up on the idea. I think the county quoted $20 million back then, for a 30-year lease. At that, Coop can't hold back. Zane, come on, quit joking around. Where would you even get that kind of money? And even if you had it, this is a terrible way to waste it. Take my advice, let's just go eat something, and after that you head straight back to Ashford City. You cannot let this money go to waste. Me? You know me better than that. I smile. I've got absolute confidence in this. Think about it. You know what I used to do. If I'm bold enough to start a business, you think I'd do it without a solid reason to believe in it? What did you even do before this? Convenience foods development. Coop hesitates for a moment, then it clicks. The company I used to work for, Cloudsea Group, built its entire empire selling bottled water. Could he actually have some core technology? But what kind of core technology could bottled water even have? Coop is still completely lost. You're really not kidding? Not at all. Fine then. Let me make a call and ask around. Coop's a straightforward guy. He pulls out his phone and dials right away. He gets up, walks to the bow of the boat, talks for a bit, and hangs up with a string of thank yous. I checked with a friend. If you're really serious about taking it, you can go negotiate. It's about $15 million, still for a 30-year term. Thanks. I nod, then turn to Ren. You go negotiate. Under $10 million, 20 years. Me? Ren points at herself, stunned. I stroke my chin. Right now, you're the only heavy hitter I've got on my team. If you don't go, who will? Seeing Ren about to protest, I add, or you could call your branch manager instead, and swap yourself out for someone more capable. Ren's head drops instantly. Torn and frustrated, she wants to argue back but can't. Her branch manager had already made it clear. If she got swapped off this assignment, she might as well pack up her desk and leave for good. That, she absolutely cannot accept. Fine, I'll go. Ren grits her teeth, and the moment the boat reaches shore, she heads off with Bronson at her side. I just shrug. I was never cut out to be a businessman anyway. As for pulling off this whole scheme, whatever anyone else thinks, in my view, it worked purely because I wasn't afraid of going to prison. With the system backing me, plus a fair bit of luck, all that talk about masterminding grand strategies and winning battles from afar is nonsense. I'm just an ordinary man. I've always believed in one simple rule. Leave the professional work to the professionals. Don't meddle where you don't belong. Compared to Ren, who happens to be a genuine finance expert, the only thing I feel qualified to do is lie back, enjoy myself, and let the technology do the crushing. Then just start counting the money. The fine details, not my department. Let's go get a drink, I say. As we part ways, Coop starts to actually worry. Is it a good idea to just send her off like that? Shouldn't we go check on her too? Trust her, I say, and without giving him a chance to argue, I drag Coop along and head into a countryside restaurant by Moonlight Lake, eating and drinking straight through until the afternoon, when Ren finally returns with Bronson. She sinks into her seat, completely drained, staring at the leftover food scattered across the table, and instantly feels even more wronged. She's been running around for hours without a single bite to eat, and now she comes back to nothing but scraps. What kind of boss does this? Got it done? I ask. Yeah. Ren answers, drained of all energy. 9 million, 20 years. That's rock bottom. They wouldn't budge any further. They said anything lower, and they couldn't justify it up the chain. And honestly, they clearly weren't about to let a walking payday like you off easy. They also said, the sooner the better, we can sign this afternoon. Nice work, that's what I call a professional. I flash a thumbs up and call the restaurant owner over to bring out a few more dishes. That thumbs up finally eases something in Ren's chest. Looking at it, she can't quite stop the corner of her mouth from lifting. After lunch wraps up, I call for a car, dropping Coop off at his place first, then heading straight into the county town with the other three. Mr. Zane, welcome, welcome. The man greeting me is a middle-aged, balding man surnamed Barrett, Way County's deputy chief in charge of investment attraction, with a warm, easygoing face. Once we're both seated and I've looked over the agreement, I sign my name. Deputy Chief Barrett steps forward to shake my hand, smiling. I hear you're leasing the reservoir to build a water plant, Mr. Zane. If there's anything the county can help with, don't hesitate to ask. Here's my card. You're too kind. I shake his hand with a smile. Leasing the reservoir is only step one. A water plant and a food and beverage processing facility will follow. I'll be counting on the county to keep the green lights on for us. Of course, Deputy Chief Barrett beams, pleased that Way County sits so close to the provincial capital, though that closeness cuts both ways. The upside is people can commute easily for work. The downside is the county itself struggles to grow past the shadow of the big city. So having someone show up to build a factory here looks like nothing but good news to him, even if the actual product sounds absurd on paper. After we say our goodbyes, I take the other three back to the hotel and send Foster a photo of the signed contract. Branch manager Foster calls back almost immediately. Please tell me you're joking. $9 million for a reservoir? Foster sounds genuinely rattled. Didn't we agree the whole plan was something you could hype up at no nobody could actually verify? This shabby little reservoir can't back an 80 million loan. Forget me, not even the Almighty himself would lend you that much on this. The water quality is exceptional. Drink it and you'll live longer, I say. You're seriously trying to sell me on that too? Foster sighs, at a loss. Kid, it's not that I won't help you, this genuinely isn't going to work. I'm not lying to you. I glance over at the system's vital water enhancement technology, thinking about why it's called vital water rather than something like purified water. It's because this isn't mineral water, and it's not distilled water either. It's water that's been processed and enhanced into something genuinely beneficial for the human body. Calling it water almost undersells it. It's really more of a health supplement, and a real, effective one at that. The system even had a comment on it. Skip this and buy gene purification serum instead. What does that mean? Simply put, this water carries a fraction of the effects of gene purification serum. Maybe less than 1%, maybe just 1 in 1,000, but it's real, measurable effect nonetheless. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have the debt points to acquire it. Without a sample to show, Foster and I go back and forth for over 10 minutes, and neither of us budges. Forget it. Foster sounds exhausted, frustration bottled up inside him, wanting to warn me how serious this really is, but not quite able to say it out loud. I'm holding leverage over him. If I couldn't handle the pressure and reported him, he'd be finished. Thankfully, he'd arranged bodyguards and an assistant ahead of time. As long as Ren was the one watching the money, there was an 80% chance nothing would go wrong. If losses started piling up, he could pull the remaining loan funds, seal off the factory and sell the whole thing off in one package. Even in a worst-case scenario, at least some of the loss could be recovered. It wouldn't be a total wipeout. And after all, this was a favor for young Master Sterling. Foster figured Sterling would look out for him when the time came. Even if he ended up losing his position as branch manager, that still beat going to prison. With that thought settling in, Foster's face turned ashen. He said weakly, I'll have Ren prepare the full paperwork. The funds will be released within 3 days. Think this through carefully. If you can't repay it, you're going to prison. Think hard about what you're doing. The call ends. I just shrug. I never bother worrying about hypotheticals. With tech this far ahead, how could I possibly lose? On the other end of things, Foster's expression shifts through waves of regret. After a moment of thought, he calls Sterling. Yes, young Master Sterling. That's exactly it. I think I'm done for. That guy is a nightmare. He has no idea how to run a business. Yeah, alright. I swear on my life it's the absolute truth. That guy has zero business sense whatsoever. Borrowed 80 million, and he's spending it selling bottled water. Can you believe that? Alright, understood. That's all I've got. In a residential district in Ashford City, Sterling hangs up the phone, baffled, unable to make sense of any of it. At the next table over, an elderly man slowly sips a bowl of porridge and asks, what is it? Trouble? Nothing major. Sterling frowns and lays out the full story. I used to think this Zane guy was worth building a relationship with. But what is he even doing? 80 million on bottled water? Never mind that the national market's already locked down by big brands. Even here in our own East River province, Cloud Sea Group is a giant that's already got a chokehold on the beverage market. What he's doing might as well be suicide. Extraordinary people do extraordinary things. The old man wipes his mouth, slowly saying it lightly. At my age, nothing much surprises you anymore. Madmen have their own methods. In the end, the winner is the one who decides what counts as genius. Don't judge him by what he's doing. Judge him by what he actually achieves. If he's bold enough to do this and he's clearly not a fool, then he must have some real confidence behind it. The only question now is whether that confidence is worth your attention. You're right, grandfather, Sterling suddenly understands. The next day, after spending a night in Wei County, the four of us take the high-speed train back to Ashford City. In Ren's words, now that everything's in place, it's time to start hiring. Since neither of us has any real experience running a company, we need professionals for that. I agreed with her logic, so I only slept in until 10 in the morning. By the time we all reach the job fair, it's already 11:30, and some of the hiring companies are already packing up and heading out for the day. Ren can't help but complain. How many times did I have to shout to get you out of bed? And now look, it's basically over. How are we even supposed to hire anyone now? It's just fate, like sorting beans. The small ones drop out first, and the good ones, the ones with real standards, don't just settle for whatever measly package these companies offer. I couldn't care less. The money hasn't even landed yet. A day earlier or later makes no difference. With black market tech like this backing me up, as long as whoever I hire isn't a complete idiot, this thing is going to succeed no matter what. Ren goes to rent a booth and throws together a makeshift sign, and I plop myself down without a care. People passing by immediately perk up at the sight, though hardly anyone actually steps forward to apply on the spot. After all, there's an assistant, and there are bodyguards, standing there like temple guardians. The whole setup doesn't exactly scream we're hiring regular staff, but there's always an exception. A few minutes later, a scruffy, unshaven, run-down-looking older man wanders over and drops himself into a seat. What positions are you hiring for? Anything, really. What do you want to do? I ask. Anything? The man laughs. Are you hiring a general manager? You think I'm up for it? I think you are. I pull out a contract and set it on the table. Sign it. The contract's already prepared, courtesy of Ren, for a company that Deputy Chief Barrett had fast-tracked into existence just yesterday. Huh? The man freezes, and even Ren stares at me dumbfounded. Is it really this casual? Why wouldn't I be? What's there to hesitate over? I say with a grin. The man flips open the contract. Starsea Beverage and Foods Company, Limited, founded just yesterday? He pauses. Located in Wei County, sounds like it's still in setup. What kind of salary are you offering? I shake my head. I have no idea what you're worth, but you surely know what you're worth. Write in your own salary, as long as you're confident enough, even even $1 million a year salary works. Well, damn, Emmett laughs. He'd just weathered a brutal double loss, his relationship and his career, both gone, and had been holed up at home for 2 months, never expecting that the moment he stepped outside, he'd run into a madman. But madmen have their uses. Everyone else seemed to think their lives were already ruined, yet here was a stranger willing to place trust in him, willing to hand him a real chance. A wave of ambition suddenly surged up inside him. He even felt a flicker of genuine emotion. "You won't regret this." Emmett writes general manager under the job title, and then writes an $800,000 annual salary before setting down the pen. "This price, well, it's certainly not too high for what I'm worth. I'm going to prove exactly what I bring to the table." He says it with real confidence. I give him a thumbs up, rise from my seat, and say, "You take this spot right here." "Do what?" Emmett pauses, caught off guard. "What else?" "Hiring people, of course." I say, "I have zero experience with hiring. Everyone has their specialty. You're the professional here, so you're the one who's going to run the hiring." Hearing that, Emmett feels even more moved. Handing over full authority right after signing? What incredible trust. He rises, takes the seat across the hiring table, and says firmly, "Don't worry, boss. Since you trust me with this, just tell me what positions you need, and leave the rest to me. Right now, our company consists of the boss's assistant, the boss's bodyguards, and the boss's one and only employee, which, well, is you, the general manager. Everyone else you go hire." A chill runs through Emmett's head. He instantly sobers up, and whatever emotion had swelled inside him a moment ago is completely gone, replaced by a creeping sense of dread. Had he just been scammed? Was this a rich kid's vanity project, or some kind of shell company? This boss isn't just young, he's downright reckless. The very first hires at a brand new company are a pretty assistant and 2 bodyguards. Is any of this legitimate? Is this whole company a joke? Oh, come on now. I clap a hand on his shoulder, painting the picture. This is an opportunity, a chance to prove yourself, a chance to build a company from absolutely nothing. You should be grateful for this. Once you've successfully built a company entirely from scratch, even if you go looking for another job down the road, you'll have something incredible to put on your resume. Then why wouldn't I just start my own company instead? Emmett fires back instinctively. Do you have the money for that? I ask. That question lands like a perfectly timed silence, and Emmett is left speechless, completely at a loss for words. Point taken. All right, we're heading off to eat. We'll bring something back for you. I grin and walk off with Ren and the others in tow. Emmett clenches his fist. Why the hell did I actually feel touched by that? This boss is unbelievable, he thinks. Whatever, I'll just see how things play out for now. After all, he hasn't signed any non-disclosure or non-compete agreements yet, and there's no penalty clause. If things go sideways, he can bail without a second thought. After leaving the job fair, the 4 of us settle into a hot pot restaurant, ordering one of everything off the specialty menu without a moment's hesitation. This place is solidly upscale, and a meal like this easily runs $2,000 to $3,000. Compared to how I used to live, this is spending money like water. It stirs something in me. Neither the original soul, before he ever woke up to any of this, nor I, in my past life, had ever spent this freely, this carelessly, in our entire lives. In my previous life, I was buried in work, never a moment of rest, all just to scrape together enough to cover the mortgage. And in this life, before all this, I was a groveling simp working brutal hours, running myself into the ground without a single good day to show for it. So what do you call what I'm doing now? Revenge spending. And it's not just because I suddenly have money. Having stared death in the face twice now, I've come to see things clearly. Everything else is fleeting. Maybe living in the moment and leaving no regrets behind is the only thing that's actually real. In this life, system or no system, I'd already decided to live freely, without holding back. But every choice I make seems to strike Ren as strange, almost inexplicable. After these past 2 days together, she's left with a feeling she can't quite put into words. She grew up in a well-off household, and has crossed paths with all kinds of people over the years, especially with her father lecturing her constantly, which had matured her far earlier than most. She'd always been confident that whoever she encountered, she could read them well enough. But when it comes to me, she's genuinely stumped. If someone truly did engineer a wrongful transfer into a 10 million fortune windfall through sheer strategy and nerve, then the psychological pressure required to pull that off would have to be enormous. That alone would prove I'm someone with real skill, sharp intelligence, nerves of steel, and staggering courage, someone who breaks every convention and fears absolutely nothing. Shouldn't a person like that be scheming to control every piece on the board, snowballing everything into a fortune as fast as possible? Ren has heard of people like this before, in gray market industries or woven into the founding stories of certain corporations, and in every single one of those cases, without exception, those people moved fast, pursuing growth by any means necessary, guarding themselves fiercely, trusting almost no one. So why is it different with me? This guy takes the money one moment, then immediately turns around and borrows even more, which honestly would still make sense on its own. Using loans to fund rapid growth is a common shortcut, but then he goes and sinks it all into bottled water. It's genuinely absurd. The most absurd part is that he refuses to manage any of it himself. Not only did he send her to handle the Wei County deal yesterday, but today's hiring process was just as careless, handing the title of general manager to a complete stranger he'd only just met, and then letting that same stranger handle all the rest of the hiring. He doesn't seem worried about being sidelined or being scammed. Ren finds herself understanding me less and less by the day. Boss, she says, what is it that you're actually dreaming of? Ren can't help but ask. A dream? I laugh. When a boss talks dreams to his employees, that's called dangling a carrot. But an employee talking dreams to her boss, what's that called? Are you trying to dangle a carrot in front of me now? Ren rubs her forehead. That's not what I meant. What I mean is I genuinely cannot make sense of your behavior these past 2 days. What is it you're actually trying to accomplish? What I want to do is actually very simple. Seeing how serious she is, I find myself sobering up too. And I say, before all this, my dream was simple: own a place of my own, have a car to get around in, have some savings, and just live a life that doesn't feel so miserable. But now, things are different. Different how? Ren asks, curious. Bronson and Duke both glance over at their boss too. They already know everything I've done. They respect it, but they're just as curious what a suddenly wealthy man like me plans to do with the rest of his life. Because they understand that struggle all too well. A house, a car, savings in the bank, that's the dream for most people. But right now I've got 3 dreams. I hold up 3 fingers. First, live comfortably and never have to worry about money again. The 3 of them nod along. That dream at least feels grounded and real. Second, I want to see what's out there, beyond where anyone's looked before. I say, human technology has come a long way, and with enough money, you can accomplish nearly anything. But there are still things current technology simply cannot achieve. So I'm going to step into that fight myself, spark a technological revolution, realize my full potential, and push the boundaries of what's possible. The 3 of them hesitate for a beat, but eventually nod along anyway, even though it sounds a little grandiose, maybe even hollow. But then again, what if the boss really does strike it rich selling bottled water? After all, even tech billionaires promise fusion power someday, so bottled water hiding cutting-edge tech doesn't sound entirely impossible anymore. And the 3rd dream? Ren asks. There's a saying I've heard since I was a kid: if every single person in the country lent me just $1, I'd end up with well over $1 billion. Have you heard that one? I ask. All 3 nod immediately. Everyone's heard some version of it. But what does that have to do with a dream? My 3rd dream is to be in debt, I say, tying it back to the system and my own philosophy, smiling. If everyone in the country, no, everyone in the entire world, became my creditor, don't you think that would be a genuinely fascinating thing? The 3 of them exchange glances. Fascinating? Honestly, not fascinating at all. Just the thought of it feels crushing, especially for Bronson and Duke, who grew up poor and have seen firsthand how debt can break a person's back. Seeing them go quiet, I shake my head slightly. All I can say is, they simply haven't seen enough of the world. Like a certain massive corporation from my past life, the deeper it went into debt, the more comfortably it seemed to live. Things really do flip once they reach an extreme. A small debt is just pressure on you. A large debt becomes crushing pressure on you. But when the debt becomes truly massive, the pressure shifts onto everyone else. Once your debt is large enough to bring down everything around it, everyone rushes to prop you up, because your collapse would detonate like an economic bomb, taking everything down with it. And that's just plain ordinary debt. Now imagine adding cutting-edge technology into the mix, something capable of racking up debt and generating absurd profits at the exact same time. That combination would sweep through everything in its path. Anyone foolish enough to stand in the way wouldn't even need me to lift a finger. The creditors themselves would tear them apart. Look past the surface and see what's really underneath, and what seems absurd on the outside turns out to be far less absurd than reality itself. The hot pot arrives at the table. Everyone digs in, showering the meal with praise. Money really does change everything. The expensive stuff really has no flaw except the price tag. After the meal wraps up, we have the staff pack a few more ingredients to take with us, and Duke steps up to carry the bags. The 4 of us head back toward the job fair. The 2 locations aren't far apart at all, just a few hundred meters across the street. By the time we arrive, Emmett is already mid-speech, training a small crowd. We're a brand new startup, everything's still under construction, starting completely from zero, and this process is going to be exhausting, no doubt about that. But make no mistake, anyone who sticks around from the start becomes a founding member. Don't keep asking what the company can give you. Start asking yourselves what you can create for the company. We're a food and beverage company, so sales channels are obviously our top priority, and every single one of you brings the right kind of experience. That's exactly why I want each of you to stay. Are big companies really that great? Not necessarily. Brutal competition, promotions that never come, raises that never happen. Are small companies any better? Also no. Bad working conditions, low pay, and sales targets that feel impossible. So what kind of company is actually best for people like us? A startup. Definitely a startup. In the early stages of a company, bosses spend freely, and promotions come fast, and yes, the pressure to compete is real, but making money here is straightforward. Why is that? Because if you can't make it from the market outside, you can always make it off the boss instead. Think about it. If the company folds, that's not on you. That's a failure of the product. If the boss goes bankrupt, that's not on you either. That's just poor judgment on his part for picking the wrong industry to begin with. What do we actually lose in any of this? Nothing. So listen to me here, everyone. Sign the contract, work hard. If it goes well, we all cash in big. If it doesn't, we still walk away with something. As your general manager, I promise you, I am standing right there with you every step of the way. The energy in the crowd shifts instantly. Even the ones who'd been hesitating a moment ago suddenly aren't hesitating anymore, because no matter how you look at it, there's really nothing to lose. That actually makes a lot of sense. And if the general manager himself is saying this, what's there left to hesitate over? Let's just go for it. Sign me up too. Get me a contract. Behind them, Ren and the others watch, completely floored. Is this really how you're supposed to hire people? I brought this guy on to sell bottled water, not to run a pyramid scheme. What talent, I mutter, genuinely amazed. I picked this guy off the street and it turns out he's a natural-born con artist. As the old saying goes, those who think lead, those who labor follow. No wonder this old guy carried himself like a washed-up mess earlier, and yet he had the nerve to demand a general manager's title. He's clearly someone who knows how to play the angles, someone with real strategy behind the eyes. Boss? Emmett suddenly turns, catching my eye, a little flustered, sweat beading on his forehead. Damn it, did he just hear everything I said? Am I really about to get fired on my very first day? That was a genuinely great pitch, I say, clapping Emmett on the shoulder. Turns out you really are a natural. Relax, I'm not angry with you. Let's eat. I reach out out and take the stack of takeout boxes from Duke's hands and set them down on the table. I turn to Ren and say, "Go help them sort out the paperwork," then pull Emmett down to sit with me. He looks at the spread of food laid out before him, and for a moment he genuinely feels how much his boss values him. "Boss, what do you need from us next?" "No rush." I glance over at the crowd signing contracts. "How's the hiring going?" "We should have enough to get the company running smoothly. The basic staffing is falling into place, and we'll keep hiring, but there's one crucial issue." Emmett pauses to think it over. "I used to be a corporate manager myself, nothing famous, mind you, but I've done research in the food industry before. The core of this whole business comes down to research and development, management, and sales. Management's the easiest part. Since we're a brand new company, I can just handle more of that myself for now. For procurement, manufacturing, distribution, we can hire those specialists gradually, or promote from within later. Sales isn't much of a problem either, since these hires all have prior sales experience. I'll manage them all under one system for now. And that's enough to get a scrappy team up and running. The real question is research and development. Does our company actually have a product yet? And how much are we planning to invest into R&D? That's the real question." Emmett looks straight at me, and it's a critical one. Anyone who enters this industry typically already has core technology in hand, the actual formula for their food or beverage, before they ever start the company. And in Emmett's mind, he assumes I must be exactly the same, but you can never be too careful, and it's always the 1 in 1,000 chance that gets you. What if his boss turns out to be a total amateur, jumping into all this with absolutely nothing to back it? Then everything falls apart, the hires would have been for nothing, the contract's worthless, and Emmett himself might as well pack up his desk and walk out right now. "Relax," I nod. "We have a formula, a completely unique product with enormous market potential. That part you don't need to worry about. Right now the priority is building out the factory, purchasing a custom production line, and sourcing raw materials." Emmett exhales in relief and laughs. "Well, that part's straightforward at least. I checked already. Our factory site is set for Moonlight Lake in Wei County. That location has mountains and water right there, and it's actually where a lot of Wei County's building materials already come from, so transportation's fast and easy. Once we lock in the construction, we can have it built inside of 2 weeks." "That fast?" I ask, genuinely surprised. "It's not quite that simple." Emmett shakes his head. "The first thing that goes up will be the production hall itself. That's just steel frame assembly, which is the easiest part by far. Most of the time actually goes into leveling the roads, laying out the factory grounds, and building the perimeter walls. Overall, we'd be working on a tight timeline, but we should be able to start manufacturing within 2 weeks, though the employee dormitories and office buildings will take longer. Even though our company is still small, we'll just need a few 3 to 5 story buildings for that, but it'll still take a few months in total." "Excellent," I say, genuinely pleased. "Since you're the general manager, I'm handing you full authority. Build this beverage plant from the ground up. If you do this well, don't ever worry about promotions or raises. This whole beverage and food company is just a small experiment for me, honestly, but if you've got the skill for it, I'll open up a much bigger platform for you down the road, where you can really make your mark." Hearing that, something clicks in Emmett's mind, and a theory starts forming, wondering why his boss acts so carelessly about everything, wondering why his boss seems so utterly unbothered by any of it. Of course, he must be a wealthy heir launching a passion project, or he's got serious backing behind him somewhere. This company might look like a rich man's vanity project, and honestly, it probably really is exactly that. But the boss can afford to treat it as a game. Emmett can't. He needs to genuinely perform well here. And if he performs well enough, taking a deep breath, a fresh wave of passion surges through Emmett as he declares, "Don't worry, boss, big or small, I'll handle every single detail perfectly. Just watch what I can do." Well, damn. I glance at him, a little startled by just how much trust this guy is placing in me, but honestly, that's a good thing overall. After a moment's thought, I say, "All right, the rest is on you then. Head to Wei County tomorrow with your team, and do whatever needs doing. I'll give you $50 million to work with. I want to see this factory standing within a month, with a fully functioning bottling line, everything a real beverage company needs. You can count on me. $50 million, and that's just for construction and the production line? This isn't some small operation anymore. Even a passion project on this scale is enormous, and Emmett can't help but wonder what kind of confidence, what kind of backing, what kind of fortune could possibly support this level of spending. His excitement only builds further. For any food or lodging expenses, just get the receipts and submit them to her for reimbursement. I point at Ren and tell Emmett, "Understood, boss." Emmett hurries over and gets Ren's contact information. While Ren's expression turns oddly complicated, she can already tell that Emmett's assumptions about this whole setup have gone somewhere completely wrong. But since the loan situation involves far too much to explain, and it can never be made public anyway, she chooses not to say anything. Once the formal discussion wraps up, I head out with the others, leaving everything else entirely in Emmett's hands. And the very next day, when Emmett leads his new team out to Wei County, I don't even show up to see them off. Just a few quick words over the phone. 2 days later, the $80 million loan lands in the account. Ren handled the entire process from start to finish, while I only showed up at the very end to sign my name. A few more days pass after that, and finally, on the night of June 30th, back in the rented apartment, I set my phone down. I walk toward the bedroom, and out in the living room, Bronson and Duke exchange a glance, mildly surprised. They've been shadowing me for weeks now, and I don't act like a wealthy man at all. If anything, I act completely ordinary. Aside from spending more freely on food, almost nothing else about my life has changed. I still live in the same rented apartment. I still haven't bought a car. almost as if the desire for a house or a car is simply drained out of me. I even spend my downtime just like they do, sprawled out, scrolling through my phone, watching whatever short videos catch my eye, never falling asleep before midnight, and never waking up before noon. Somehow, I've dragged these two former Special Forces soldiers right down with me. Their whole schedule is a mess now too, but of course they have no idea that the real reason I haven't bought a house or car is that my funds are still tight right now. I can't afford anything genuinely good yet, and I can't be bothered with anything mediocre. Scrolling videos and gaming are just my way of finding a little joy in the meantime. Staying up late is just part of the routine at this point. The only reason I've come back to my room early tonight is because the timing has finally arrived. My debt points are about to settle, 8,000 points, the foundation for everything I've planned. Ding! A chime rings inside my head, and a line of text appears before my eyes. Monthly settlement in progress. Settlement complete. Congratulations, player. You now carry debt totaling 80 million yuan. Debt points earned 8,000. It's finally here. A grin spreads across my face. I open the exchange shop, filter by cheapest technology, select vital water enhancement technology, and tap to redeem. The exchange goes through successfully. 5,000 points deducted, leaving a remaining balance of 3,000. A wave of raw data floods into my mind, as if I'd simply known it all along, data that any ordinary person would find completely incomprehensible. Yet whenever I focus on it, the information unravels itself effortlessly in my mind. And just as I suspected, vital water enhancement technology isn't just simple water purification. Purification alone would hold no real technical value. This is genuine, cutting-edge technology through and through. According to the data now sitting in my mind, so-called vital water is actually the everyday drinking water production method used by ordinary citizens during the Star River era. Back then, with humanity spread across the stars, ordinary water had become a genuine scarcity. There were countless planets scattered across the galaxy, but very few of them held fresh water at all, and even fewer of those had water genuinely safe for humans to drink. And so, vital water enhancement technology was born. The water this technology produces isn't simply fresh water or distilled water. Instead, it begins with a full purification process, followed by a proprietary formula, blending in hundreds of different compounds and trace elements, so the water itself carries real biological energy, alongside a self-sustaining bioenergy microbial colony. The heart of the whole system is this microbial colony. It reproduces automatically on its own, keeping the water quality in a perpetual cycle, meaning it can sit stored aboard a warship for decades, even centuries, without ever spoiling. And the longer it sits in storage, the more time the colony has to reproduce and refine itself, which means the water actually grows sweeter over time, while the bioenergy it contains keeps building up as well. To put it simply, the water feeds the colony energy. The colony reproduces and dies off, generating bioenergy in the process, and that bioenergy can be absorbed perfectly by the human body. And it's not just the dead microbes that are beneficial. The living colony itself carries benefits for the human body too. It can enter the body directly and actually optimize the body's own water content, forming its own self-sustaining cycle inside the human body, continuously supplying small doses of bioenergy over a short period of time. Through this process, cellular division actually slows down, which, in small increments, extends human lifespan, and with the body's bioenergy fully stocked, a person's overall vitality gets a serious boost. The only real drawback is that once this colony enters the human body, it can't adapt to the body's internal temperature and dies off completely within just a few hours. Put simply, this stuff has zero problem with cold. It's heat that kills it. It can survive in freezing ice indefinitely, but the moment the temperature climbs past 95 degrees Fahrenheit, it starts dying off. Now that's a genuinely good product. My eyes light up. This is pure, unfiltered cutting-edge tech, and its only weakness is that heat kills it, meaning it has to be shipped and stored under cold chain conditions. But weighed against everything it offers, that single flaw barely registers. If the cost goes up, I'll just charge more for it. I pull out my phone and start searching for the raw materials I'll need, all of them common and easy to source. The only real challenge in producing this water lies in cultivating the original microbial colony. I make a call. Hello? A soft, sleepy little voice answers, groggy and half asleep. It's Ren. Already asleep this early? Oh boss, is everything okay? Ren perks up a little, forcing herself alert. I need to rent a biology lab to cultivate a special microbial colony. Handle it for me. I need it ready by tomorrow. I say it directly, no explanation. Cultivating the original colony will take about a week, and the factory at Moonlight Lake should be ready for preliminary operation right around that same time. All in all, the timing lines up perfectly. Before she can even finish her sentence, I've already hung up the phone. Ren clutches her head with both hands, letting out a strangled screech of frustration. What's wrong? A knock sounds at her door. Nothing. Still in her pajamas, she opens the door to find her father, just home from work. Wordlessly, she pours herself a glass of water and says, "My boss just does whatever pops into his head. Now he wants me to rent him a biology lab for some special microbial cultivation thing. I studied finance. Where am I supposed to even find a biology lab? If it's too much, just quit." Desmond rubs his temples and drops the files in his hand onto the table, taking the water his daughter hands him, and says, "That branch manager of yours, honestly, sending you off to be someone's assistant. What kind of logic is that? I'll have Zhang put in a word for you so you don't have to." "I'll finish it." Ren shakes her head. "I really don't want people whispering about me behind my back. That jerk Zane, sure, he's a massive pain to deal with, but honestly, he treats his employees well enough. The food's good, the pay's fine, the work isn't complicated, he just gets these random ideas out of nowhere sometimes. Whatever, I'll just ask a classmate tomorrow." "Ask Zhang," Desmond says, setting his glass down. "East River isn't exactly known for research institutions. There aren't many labs around here to begin with, and finding one on short notice is basically impossible. And those kinds of places aren't just up for rent to to anyone off the street. Let Zhang ask around for you. Fine. Ren thinks it over and nods. Guess that's the only option left. Actually, I never even asked. What exactly is this project of his, that it needs a biology lab in the first place? Desmond heads off to wash up and brush his teeth, asking the question with genuine puzzlement. He's selling bottled water. Ren shrugs. Honestly, who knows what he's actually up to now? Maybe he's trying to sell probiotic drinks on the side too. Wait, are you serious? Desmond actually stops mid-brush at that, and even with all his years of composure, he looks genuinely baffled. He publicly humiliated Cloud Sea Group, and now he's trying to run the exact same business? Is he out of his mind? What kind of feud runs that deep? Don't ask me, I have no one to ask either. Ren rolls her eyes, then pauses, thinking it over. Well, actually, there might be some history there. Preston, over at Cloud Sea Group, he stole Zane's ex-girlfriend from him. Preston, as in the Preston family? Desmond's brow furrows. Well, that explains it. Rot really does run straight down the family tree. Ever since the old patriarch passed, the Preston family's just gotten worse with every generation. The next morning, I do something genuinely rare and wake up early, following Ren to the lab. And it really does live up to the name. A proper professional biology facility. Nearly every raw material I need is already stocked here, and anything missing can simply be ordered. Inside the lab, after countless adjustments and a fermentation process running through 17 distinct stages, I finally produce a culture medium capable of nurturing the original microbial colony to life. Once everything is done, evening has already settled in. I make sure to place the culture medium in a low-temperature environment, and then wait for the bioenergy colony to take shape. The bioenergy colony itself is a mutation, or rather, an evolved strain, cultivated from a combination of specialized microbes found across both human and animal biology. I spend the entire day buried in this work. Half of it goes into cultivating and isolating the strain itself. Since simple cultivation alone isn't enough, I have to use special techniques to separate it from ordinary bacterial colonies. Skip that step and the whole thing becomes worthless, even harmful, instead of beneficial. Only once the separation is complete and clean can it go into the medium for large-scale cultivation, allowed to multiply until the colony reaches full strength, achieving a genuine self-sustaining cycle. Only then does the process actually count as a success. After giving the lab staff clear instructions, I finally leave the lab, stomach growling, with the other three trailing behind me. As we step out through the research center's front door, Ren realizes she understands me even less than before. She'd assumed this whole thing was just some absurd whim, but it turns out I genuinely know what I'm doing. And not just casually either, I'm actually operating at a professional level. One so precise that even the lab's own trained researchers were left genuinely stunned. Boss, is there anything else you need? If not, I'm calling it a day, Ren asks. I rub my temples. No rush. Let's grab something to eat before you head back. And also, reach out to Emmett, have him purchase a large-scale purification system. Our water quality needs to hit sterile grade standards. Got it. Anything else? Ren asks. Order 20 refrigerated trucks, hire drivers for them, and also tell him the bottling process needs to hit sterile grade standards too. We're on a tight timeline, so let him know he needs to push hard here. Understood. A week passes quickly. Throughout that week, I visit the lab every single day to monitor the colony's progress. And finally, early one morning, the colony begins showing rapid reproduction alongside rapid die-off, signaling that the original colony has entered a genuine self-sustaining cycle. I'm thrilled beyond words. I isolate a portion of it, blending it with sterile lab water and the trace elements I'd already prepared in advance, making sure the sterile water carries enough material energy to sustain the colony, then mixing in the tiny isolated sample of the colony. After 3 full hours of careful observation, I confirm there are no abnormalities whatsoever, and with a steady supply of material energy, the colony begins reproducing rapidly. I finally let out a breath of relief. It worked. An entire week of relentless effort, and it has finally paid off. I pour the water into a sterile container and walk out of the lab with a smile on my face. It worked? Ren asks. Bronson and Duke lean in too, genuinely curious. They've been dying to know what exactly I've been cooking up this whole time. It worked. Congratulations. Even though none of them actually know what I've been working on, Ren still offers her genuine congratulations, then adds, by the way, General Manager Emmett called. The factory's fully operational now. He's asking when you want to come take a look. Let's go right now. My heart pounds with excitement. After all this effort, I'm desperate to finally see this through. All I need to do is deliver the culture medium to Wei County and load it up with a large supply of trace elements, and the colony will multiply rapidly from there. Bronson, grab the culture medium and stay alert the entire way there. This cannot be lost under any circumstances, and make sure the temperature-controlled case stays powered at all times. Understood, boss. Duke, go find us a car. We're leaving right now. Right away, boss. Both men move fast. Ren, meanwhile, eyes the sterile container in my hands with curiosity. Boss, is that some kind of probiotic? Well, yeah, technically speaking, it is a form of probiotic, I say, trailing off into thought. This thing is a brand new strain. I honestly haven't thought about what to name it. Thinking about it now, just calling it bioenergy bacteria doesn't quite work. It sounds a bit like a biohazard outbreak. I don't want to scare customers away. Calling it probiotic might work too. But would that make it sound a little too cheap? I think it over for a moment and finally decide to combine both. I'll call it the bioenergy probiotic strain. Soon Duke and Bronson are ready. We all pile into the car and head for Wei County. Beside Moonlight Lake in Wei County, a massive factory now stands complete. A few smaller buildings are still under construction. Once Emmett got word we were coming, he had a full crew clean everything up. By the time we arrive, the whole factory looks brand new. I follow Emmett into the plant. As we walk, he says, "Boss, according to the blueprints, we have 2 large filling plants and we did the sterile upgrades you requested. The cost went up a lot because of it. Beyond that, there's mainly the raw culture plant and the sterile water production and delivery plant, and we added a new sterilization plant just for disinfecting the filling containers. Since we were so short on time, there was no way to custom build anything. We had to bring in the contractor's crew to do the retrofit. It's basically finished now. We can do the final inspection today." Then Emmett looks at me, clearly confused. "Boss, aren't we a food and beverage company? Why build all this?" "I'll do whatever you say, but I honestly don't get it. This didn't just triple the cost, it's completely unnecessary. Honestly, even medical-grade facilities might not hit this standard. So what are we actually making here?" "This." I placed the sterile flask shaped like a thermos into Emmett's hands. Seeing everyone's confused faces, I explain, "We were never selling bottled water. You've all been thinking about this wrong. We're selling health supplements." Emmett is stunned. "Boss, you're not joking, right? We're a food and beverage company, we don't have the license for that." Everyone around us looks just as lost. "We don't need a license," I say with a smile. "We sell it as bottled water, just priced higher." That leaves everyone completely baffled. "So it's still just bottled water after all?" Nobody can make sense of it. Then Emmett's eyes suddenly light up. "I get it now. Boss, you're building a gimmick, aren't you? Sterile wellness. Selling it under the banner of health, when it's really just water. A business with basically no cost. Boss, only you would think of something this ruthless." Everyone gives me strange looks. A vein throbs on my forehead. "You don't understand a thing." While we're talking, we arrive at the raw culture plant. I look at the 2 massive storage tanks inside, and a satisfied smile spreads across my face. We just fill the tanks with sterile water, add a large dose of trace elements, and the microbial colony multiplies rapidly. Then it's automatically diluted with sterile purified water at a 10,000 to 1 ratio. We add a set amount of trace elements to that water, and the final product is born. The contractor's engineers haven't left yet. They're running tests right now. I pay them extra to make some fine adjustments based on my ideas, and the project is officially finished. "Come here," I say, gathering Emmett and the others as I open the sterile flask in my hand. Thanks to the insulation, the colony inside has multiplied for several hours, and this very first batch already meets the standard. I have Duke bring over a few paper cups. I pour everyone a cup. "This is our product. Try it and you'll understand." For a moment, the room goes silent. It's actually a little awkward. Ren holds her cup but doesn't dare drink it. Duke and Bronson are the same. They all know exactly what's in it. This has bacteria in it. Who in their right mind would drink that? Boss says it's a probiotic, but it hasn't gone through any professional or market testing. If drinking this causes some kind of problem, that would be it for them. Emmett and the 2 young men working under him don't know the full story. Hearing it's a company product, they down it without a second thought. Under Ren, Duke, and Bronson's admiring stares, Emmett licks his lips and says, "There's a hint of sweetness to it." "No, wait. It's not the sweetness of sugar. It's more like a clean aftertaste. Sweet, but not cloying. It's still water at the end of the day, but somehow it tastes better than tap water." Yeah, the young man beside him nods. "No off flavors. Aside from that slight aftertaste, there's really no taste at all." Of course there's no taste. This is sterile purified water, filtered and sanitized multiple times, with 0 impurities. It's pure water. If it weren't for the trace elements and the microbial colony mixed in, even that aftertaste wouldn't exist. I drink mine in one gulp and wait quietly. A few minutes later, I feel something in my body, clear-headed and refreshed. My energy picks up a little. My body feels stronger too, none of the tiredness from before. "Whoa," Emmett says, clearly feeling it too. "My whole body feels cool and alert. My mind's clear and my limbs feel strong. It's faint, but it's definitely there." Then, as if something suddenly hits him, Emmett's head snaps toward me, eyes wide with fear. "Health supplement? This is a controlled substance, isn't it?" It's no wonder he's jumping to conclusions. An effect this noticeable, unless it's a banned substance, only adrenaline could really compare. Health supplements are usually scams. Forget whether they even work. Even if they do, it takes months of use before you feel anything at all. But this so-called company product hits you within minutes of one sip. If that's not a controlled substance, what is it? Emmett looks terrified, and the 2 young men beside him break out in a cold sweat. "No way. Did I just take a job and end up a drug dealer before I even got my first paycheck? This is so unfair." Ren, Bronson, and Duke, on the other hand, hear how amazing the effect is and hesitate only briefly before drinking it too. After all, I drank mine, so they're not afraid anymore. They don't buy the whole controlled substance theory. They've been watching me closely these past few days. Within minutes of drinking, once the effect kicks in, all 3 of them light up, staring at me in shock. Seeing the uneasy look in Emmett's eyes, I can't help but laugh. "This is our company's product, definitely not a controlled substance. This came from my own scientific research," I explain. "I stumbled onto a mutated strain, or you could call it an evolved one. This strain can absorb trace elements and convert them into bioenergy. Bioenergy isn't fuel, it's the kind of energy the human body actually needs. You can think of it as that mysterious vital essence people talk about, or simply the energy your body burns through when it moves. Normally the body needs multiple organs working together to generate energy, but this bioenergy can top you off directly. In short, it restores energy, purifies the body's water content, and briefly enhances physical performance. It's not a stimulant high, it's a real, tangible boost." "Seriously?" Emmett blurts out. "If that's true, forget selling bottled water. This could change the world." Emmett paces back and forth, practically shaking with excitement. "Could large amounts of this turn a person into a superhuman? If the strain lives in the body long-term, could it extend our lifespan? If it can replace organs and power the body directly, could it cure every disease out there? Could it keep someone at death's door alive indefinitely? Could it even fuel cancer cells for cancer patients? Hearing Emmett rattle these questions off, everyone else's minds start racing too. They're all fired up now, breathing hard as they stare at me. I won't ask for much, just one of those, just one, and this would be a discovery that shakes the whole world, that changes everything. Ren, Bronson, and Duke can't help but recall something I said a few days ago, that I was going to spark a technological revolution. If this product really had those effects, there'd be no doubt about it, I would have pulled it off. I really would have started a biotech revolution. But unfortunately, I shake my head. The gene purification serum is definitely connected to this strain somehow, but make no mistake, compared to the gene purification serum, this thing falls short. Way short. This is only one of the base ingredients needed for the gene purification serum. Back in the system shop, the gene purification serum comes at an extremely steep price, and the technology packed inside it goes far beyond something as simple as the vital water enhancement technology. Superhuman strength is off the table. The human body has its own limits. You can't boost your strength with this no matter how much of it you drink, the effect stays the same, only the duration gets longer. If the strain exists in the body in large quantities, in theory it could extend lifespan, but that's not going to happen, because this microbial colony has to be kept cold. Anything above 35 degrees Celsius and it starts to die off, so inside the human body, it won't survive more than 4 hours. And if you have a fever, that window shrinks even further. That said, a minor lifespan extension is achievable. If you drink 6 ampoules a day and keep the colony present in your body at all times, you'll stay clear-headed and refreshed long-term, and boost your immune system, warding off illness. Since your body's water content keeps getting purified, your theoretical lifespan naturally extends a bit, and it can also improve overall constitution, skin condition, and mild sub-health issues. Curing disease though, forget it. It can work alongside medication to maximize the drug's effect, but it can't cure anything on its own. You have to understand, the bioenergy this provides only plays a supporting role, it can't directly interfere with disease. For someone at death's door, this won't do much. Maybe buy a little extra time, but it won't change the outcome. And for cancer patients, feeding energy to cancer cells, what were you thinking? That would just speed up cell division. Honestly, a little speechless, I finally sum it up. This thing changing the world? Not gonna happen. But shaking the world? That it can do. Its value is genuinely high, just not as insane as you're imagining. Emmett rubs his hands together, practically vibrating with excitement. That's already more than enough. Enough for us to crush every beverage and every supplement on the market. This market is massive. And even with our high costs and high price tag, even if we're out of reach for the average buyer, that's still enough to make you boss, the richest man alive. Just from this, Bronson can't help but ask. It's great and all, but the richest man alive seems like a stretch. Just from this, Emmett says, practically shouting, you don't understand, it's worth it all. Make no mistake, for the entire beverage and supplement market, this is total domination, enough to crush every single competitor's dreams. Hearing that, everyone's hearts start racing and it takes a long while for them to settle down. Emmett feels absolutely electric inside. A man who's failed at both love and career, and yet right now he feels like he's about to hit the peak of his life. And it's not just him, even a pig sitting in the general manager's chair could ride a god-tier product like this straight to fame, becoming a nationally known executive. The other employees feel like riches are practically within reach. Bronson and Duke, on the other hand, quietly breathe a sigh of relief. Watching over people was never their strong suit, especially since I've treated them so well. Now that my business is bound to succeed, they can go on being my bodyguards without a worry in the world. As for Ren, she's completely stunned. She looks at me like this is all too much, like a dream. This reckless bastard who plays with fire, is he really about to blow up into a massive success? An 80 million yuan loan used to strike her as completely absurd, but now, she thinks I'm even more absurd than the loan. The potential profits from the product's effects, its impact on the entire market, the whole chain reaction it could set off. Ren runs the numbers quietly in her head and has to admit, 80 million is nothing in comparison. Once this product hits the market, forget 80 million, even 800 million, or 8 billion. There would be no shortage of people lining up to invest. It looks like her job as his assistant is about to come to an end soon, and thinking that, Ren feels, strangely, not relief but a faint, quiet sense of loss. Boss, when do we start production? Emmett asks. The sooner the better, I say, pointing at the storage tanks. I'll start culturing the colony this afternoon. It'll take about one night, and we can start production first thing tomorrow morning. I need a batch of finished product to bring in investors, and we can push some out into the market too, and for whatever marketing we need, I'm leaving all the details up to you. But within 3 days, I want to see our product out on the market. I never forget, debt is the #1 driving force behind black tech breakthroughs. Consider it done, Emmett says, blood pumping, and he pulls the 2 young men behind him forward. Boss, let me introduce you. This is Griffin, 30 years old, full of drive. He's been busy with company matters lately, and he's got a real knack for management. And more importantly, after learning from the contractor's engineers these past few days, he knows every corner of this factory inside and out. I'd like to promote him to head of the filling division for now, in charge of both filling plants. Our filling lines are fully automated, so we don't need many workers, and I've already got contact information for several staffing agencies in Wei County. We can bring on temporary laborers for now, and once the company's more established, we'll set up a dedicated HR department for internal training and outside recruiting. And this is Reese, 28, a career salesman. He's been running our market research and sales department lately. Hardworking, very proactive. He's done extensive market research, though it's a shame. since clearly none of it applies anymore. The two of them look tense. Before all this, they'd have had their own confidence. Plenty of other places would hire them if this one didn't work out. But things are different now. A shot at real success is right in front of them, and if they let it slip through their fingers, they'd be throwing away the biggest opportunity of their lives. Just as they're about to make an impression, I wave a hand and cut them off. I trust they can handle it. Right now, the core issue is the product's name, packaging design, and pricing, so feel free to speak your minds on that. Everybody, let's hear your thoughts. The cost of this stuff. Emmett hesitates. I think it over for a moment, not answering directly, and instead say, it needs to be kept cold. In winter, that's manageable, but right now it's summer, and at room temperature, how long it lasts entirely depends on the weather. So forget the production cost for a second. Just the storage cost alone isn't cheap. So boss, what price point are you thinking? Emmett asks. If it were up to you, how much per bottle wouldn't make you flinch? I ask him back. Honestly, if it were me, with an effect this incredible, I'd buy it regularly at 50 yuan a bottle, but if the price gets too high, it's a problem. Not because it's not worth it, but because I couldn't afford it. For me, 30. 30's way too cheap. A cup of coffee out there already costs more than 30. That's exactly why I don't drink coffee. Well, everyone starts arguing over each other and I finally see the pattern. Everyone agrees the product is worth a lot, but their own spending limits keep pulling the price down. Overall, it's a great product, but not one people can afford to buy regularly, which means the pricing is genuinely hard to pin down. For someone with little money, even 10 yuan feels expensive. For someone wealthy, 1,000 yuan wouldn't feel expensive at all. Normally, the fix for this kind of problem is simple. Just split the audience into segments. But this case is different. This product's audience is the entire market, every single segment of it. What about you? What do you think? I turn to Ren. Ren thinks it over. I think you're all overcomplicating this. Pricing and packaging don't need to be treated as separate problems. I've got two solutions. First, just do medium, large, extra large, and jumbo sizes, each with its own price. Like you said, drinking more doesn't really change the effect much, so there's no need for one uniform package. That's a solid idea. Everyone's eyes light up. And the second one? I ask. The second one's even simpler, Ren says, a little sheepish. You've all gotten vaccines before, right? Those little glass vials vaccines come in, the ones you snap open, shaped kind of like a rifle cartridge. They're called ampules, and their capacity usually runs from 1 to 25 milliliters. I think that kind of packaging would actually work great here. Now, the glass ones need to be heat sealed, which obviously doesn't work for us, but there's a plastic version too. We could just buy that kind of equipment and do blow, fill, seal, all 3 steps in one machine, and as far as I know, that process is naturally sterile, saving us money and hassle, and it gives us better control over pricing too. The whole room goes silent, jaws dropped. Everyone stares at Ren in disbelief. Wow! Emmett claps, genuinely impressed. Why didn't I think of that? We're selling the effect, not the water itself. So how much water's actually in a bottle doesn't even matter, the effect is the whole point. And by Ren's math, a single unit is only 25 milliliters at most. When a normal bottle of water is 500, we could easily split that into 20 units. And even at 30 yuan a piece, that's 600 yuan total. Genius. I give her a thumbs up too. Ren, I had no idea you were this brilliant. Finance is honestly beneath you. You should be running scams for a living. This solution is perfect. It solves pricing and packaging at once. Keep it up, and once I strike it rich, I'll give you a fat bonus. So does that mean the filling equipment we already built is wasted? I ask. It won't be. Griffin, in charge of the plant floor, chimes in. Boss, since we hadn't finalized the packaging, part of the filling equipment hasn't been formally assembled yet. Right now it only has the filling nozzle installed. We can absolutely reach out to the contractor and pay them extra for the retrofit. How long would that take? I ask. Can't say for sure, but they already handle this kind of retrofit work as part of their business, so they're quite familiar with it. If we push for a rush job, it shouldn't take more than 3 days. They're actually still here. I can go ask them right now. Go quickly. Yes, sir. Griffin dashes off. The others shower Ren with compliments until the poor girl's face turns red. Reese, in charge of sales, is the only one still a bit dazed. He's thought through every possible sales strategy, every possible packaging style, whether elegant or tacky. He's had a plan ready for all of it, but he never once imagined selling the product packaged as tiny medicine vials. Then he thinks about how the product only survives cold storage, and how absurdly expensive it is, and realizes putting it on a regular supermarket shelf is basically impossible. It'd have to live in a freezer case, and on top of that, this product seems destined to appeal mainly to young people, and even most sober young people probably wouldn't buy it. Only drunk ones would. If they want to actually break into the market, it seems like bars and nightclubs are the only real option, and Reese can already picture it. A dim nightclub, music blaring, bodies pressed together, everyone dancing and singing, and himself, tucked into some dark corner with his crew, whispering, "Hey buddy, good stuff, want one?" He shudders violently. No, this is way too terrifying. Isn't this basically dealing drugs? He's going to get arrested, isn't he? He can't shake the unease. But nobody around him cares what he thinks. The rest of us have already moved on to brainstorming the product name. If it were a large bottle, there'd be plenty of naming directions to choose from, something with a traditional flair like a tea brand, or something sci-fi, like an electrolyte drink. But for something packaged as a tiny vial, what name even makes sense? Everyone racks their brains. Ren, still riding high on the praise, is eager to speak up again. I think bioenergy works great as is. It's sci-fi enough, simple enough, it gets people's imaginations going, and it's easy to remember. Not bad. I mull it over for a moment, then nod. Emmett thinks it through, and finally says, "So what category are we in exactly?" Health supplement and bottled water both feel off. The first one's basically false advertising, and the second one, with this kind of packaging, it's just funny. Then let's add a few more words, I say, thinking it over. Let's call it the bioenergy ampule. Oral use. Boss, that's still false advertising, Emmett says, rubbing his temples. Ampule implies medical injection, and we're basically bottled water. That's where you're wrong, Ren says, eyes lighting up. Calling it an ampule doesn't mean it has to be a drug. We're using sterile packaging that fully meets injection-grade standards, and if someone doesn't like drinking it but insists on injecting it anyway, that's on them. We can't stop it. Sure, it's a little misleading, but as long as nothing goes wrong, nobody's going to care. Reese, standing off to the side, starts trembling, feeling like everything is drifting exactly toward the nightmare he'd imagined. They're going to get arrested for this, aren't they? With the packaging and the name settled, the last piece is pricing, and it's finally locked in at 30 yuan per unit. I don't really care about the exact price point myself, but like Emmett says, a great product deserves a great price. Even if you eventually run a discount, it's still better than pricing cheap from the start. The decision is made, and soon Griffin returns with the engineers. Both sides walk through the setup, and once I sweeten the deal, the contractor agrees they won't even need 3 days. They'll have blueprints ready right away. Their team will work overtime, delivering the parts first thing tomorrow morning, with welding finished by noon. For that, I shell out an extra 3 million yuan, and both sides walk away satisfied. We even share a meal together at noon. After that, it's all hands on deck for culturing the colony. By the time night falls, the 2 giant tanks in the raw culture plant are already brimming with sterile water, loaded with a heavy dose of trace elements, with the original colony already seated in, just waiting for morning, when a night's worth of multiplication will have the colony fill the entire storage tank. At one point, Emmett looks a little worried, and asks me whether the colony can be replicated, whether someone could grow it themselves and start copycatting us. I think it over for a long moment before answering. The key to the colony's growth lies in the trace elements. Without them, it can survive for a while, but once the trace elements run out completely, it starts dying off. In theory, the longer the colony multiplies, the more bioenergy it produces, but that only holds true if the trace elements keep flowing. In other words, unless someone gets the trace element formula directly from me, replicating this isn't impossible, but it would take years of painstaking trial and error, and with the current state of human technology, it's simply not happening within the next decade at the very least, and by then this product won't even matter anymore. That night, we all stay in the temporary dorms set up at the plant. Early the next morning, as the delivery trucks roll in, the contractor's engineers rush into both filling plants with their crew, and all the supplies Emmett ordered arrive right on schedule. The 3 staffing agencies together send over 300 workers, and under Emmett's direction, along with a dozen or so of his own staff, they start unloading supplies, setting up machinery, and running training. By late morning, over 20 refrigerated trucks pull in as well, and Reese pulls the newly hired drivers aside for a briefing. At noon, boxed lunches arrive. Everyone eats in a hurry before diving into the final inspection. The contractor insists the work is flawless. Try to find a flaw, they say, and we guarantee 3 years of after-sales support. After the contractor leaves, I check on the colony's growth myself, and finally give the order to begin production. The whole process runs smooth as silk, and by evening the very first batch is complete. I pick up one of the vacuum-sealed foil packages and turn it over in my hands. The silver foil pulled taut under vacuum, the surface clean and minimal. Across the top, bold letters read, Bioenergy Ampule, net content 25 ml. On the back, a wall of fine print, things like place of origin, company name, and the production license number. The most eye-catching part is the nutrition label. Since it's sterile, purified water, aside from the special colony and trace elements, there's nothing else in it, so from top to bottom, every line reads 0% per 100 milliliters. Next comes the shelf life, printed as, above 35 degrees Celsius, shelf life 4 hours, below 35 degrees, shelf life 3 years, since the trace elements inside can sustain the colony for a little over 3 years at most. Last comes the precautions and the ingredients list. The precautions are standard: keep refrigerated, consume within 4 hours of opening, avoid direct sunlight and heat, and so on. The most absurd part is the ingredients list. Ingredients, water, that's it, that's the whole list. But there's no way around it. The trace elements don't need to be disclosed, and the special strain can't legally be listed, so all that's left to write down are a few standard trace compounds, and beyond water, there's genuinely nothing else. I tear open the silver foil vacuum pack, revealing a tray of plastic ampules, 10 in total, priced at 300 yuan, and yes, that's wholesale. Suggested retail price sits at 320. I pull one out, snap off the plastic tip, and squeeze the 25 milliliters of bioenergy ampule into my mouth, swallowing it down. Within minutes, that clear, refreshed feeling washes over me again. The same effect as before, just slightly weaker this time, though that hardly matters. What matters is we're finally ready to sell. Boss, the county office called. They heard we started production and want to know when we're holding the company's launch ceremony. They'd like to attend, to show their support for outside businesses setting up here. Emmett walks in to ask. I shake my head. You handle that side of things, I just want results. Tell me, how much do we produce today, and what's our projected daily output, and what kind of profit are we looking at? Boss, the numbers are going to blow your mind. Emmett says, practically buzzing with excitement. And it's all thanks to Ren being ruthless and sharp enough to come up with this pricing scheme. Right now both plants are running at full capacity, cranking out just over 80,000 units an hour, and we ran 5 hours this afternoon alone, so we've already got a stockpile of over 400,000 units. If we run 3 shifts and keep the machines going around the clock, we could hit close to 2 million units a day. 2 million. If we sold every single one after taxes, that's roughly 50 million yuan in revenue, 50 million a day, boss. And once you subtract costs, that's pure profit going straight into your pocket. Costs? What costs? I roll my eyes. The materials for the trace elements barely add up to anything, not even a fraction of a percent of our revenue. The colony multiplies on its own, so aside from paying wages, we've got almost no real costs at all. Alright, grab me some finished product. I'm heading back to Ashford City. This place is yours to run. Whatever you need going forward, go ahead and do it. You've got my full backing. I start packing up. Emmett's feelings are a jumbled mess, moved by how much trust I've placed in him, but also feeling like this is all a dream. For the past 2 days, he's felt like he's floating whenever he walks, like his feet never quite touch the ground, but he knows this is real. This is happening. This isn't a dream. All he can do now is make himself stronger, live up to the trust I've placed in him, never let this chance slip away, prove his worth, and show all the people who once looked down on him exactly how wrong they were. Outside the temporary dorms, standing near a pile of construction debris, Ren kicks at a rock on the ground, gritting her teeth. Dad, can you please stop worrying for no reason? I'm just on a business trip. I stayed out for one night, that's it. I'm not dating that jerk. Why won't you believe me? How could I not worry? Desmond's voice crackles through the phone. Your mother passed away early and I raised you from a baby all on my own, and I refuse to just stand by and watch you fall into some trap. This Zane character is a bit too extreme, unstable. If that were the whole story, it might be tolerable. But he took out an 80 million yuan loan just to get revenge on Cloudsea Group over some relationship that's neither rational nor reliable. If you'd chosen someone ordinary, I wouldn't say a word. But him? I really can't. Ren desperately wants to tell him that Zane isn't playing around with bottled water, that what he's built is practically a divine product, but it's a company secret. I never actually ordered a media blackout, yet nobody dares leak a word. Ren has her own sense of principle, so she can't say a thing. All she can do is snap back, half crazed. Would you stop looking at him through some prejudiced lens? That jerk is actually brilliant. He's not nearly as unreliable as you make him sound, and he's plenty rational. First, see, and you say it's nothing. You're already taking his side over your own father's. Desmond seizes on the slip and goes on the offensive. Ren, thoroughly flustered, hangs up on the spot. What? I finished packing, and am just about to call for the others, when I see Ren storming over, her face like ice. It's nothing. My old man's just overstepping again. Who? I blink. Then it clicks. Your dad, right? All this over staying out one night? Your father sounds like a full-blown daddy-daughter case. What about your mom? Doesn't she rein him in? My mom passed away years ago, sorry. Suddenly I understand exactly where her father's head is at. A daughter he raised through years of hardship, his only child, and if some random guy walked off with her, the man would probably have a full nuclear meltdown on the spot. It's fine. I made peace with it a long time ago. Ren shakes her head. I don't push it further. This isn't the kind of thing you can just talk your way through. In this life I was an orphan too, and it was my former self's years of starving for affection that let that manipulative woman, Simone, sweet-talk him into working himself to the bone for her. I call for Bronson and Duke, and the 4 of us pile into the car, heading for Ashford City. Wade County sits right on Ashford's border, close enough that we reach the city in under an hour. I dial Rocco's number. I hadn't reached out before now. I was waiting for exactly this moment. Because without a finished product, any talk is just empty bragging. Only with product in hand can I actually pull in investors. There's so much I want from the system shop, and I desperately need capital, not through company investment. That's called equity. And equity doesn't count as debt. I'd never let anyone buy in as a shareholder. If they could just buy equity, why would anyone bother lending me money? What I actually need is a personal loan, made directly to me, so to put it simply, I'll pay high interest on a loan, but equity is off the table. It has to be debt. Hey Zane, what a coincidence, I was just about to call you. A few of my old buddies heard about what you're up to, and they're insisting I drag you out to dinner. You got time? Rocco's booming voice comes through. Of course I do, I say with a laugh. As it happens, my new product just launched, so you can give it a taste yourself. Great, it's a deal. The call ends, and moments later an address comes through. It's a high-end hotel in Ashford City. I read the address out to Duke, who's driving, then turn to Ren. We'll drop you off first. No, Ren says, pouting. I've been working all day. If there's a fancy dinner happening, I'm coming along. Fine. I get it, she's still fuming at her dad. I can respect that. Meanwhile, in an office across town, Desmond stews, growing more frustrated the more he thinks about it. He waves his secretary over. It's getting late, she should be heading home by now. Go check with the security staff at her building, see if she's made it back. Yes, sir. Secretary Zhang nods in response, privately baffled. This is the first time he's ever seen his boss behave like this. Meanwhile, over at Cloudsea Group, Vesper hands a layoff list to Weston, saying, President Weston, we've cut quite a few people this round, but this batch seems to have hit close to the Chi family's core interests. They're pushing back pretty hard, ignore them. They're grasshoppers in autumn, their days are numbered anyway, Weston says dismissively. Ever since that incident last time, his opinion of the Chi family has only sunk lower and lower, finally scrubbing their reputation clean, only to keep pulling shady little stunts behind everyone's back. Not one person in that entire family has a functioning brain. By the way, what about Zane? How's he doing? Haven't heard anything about him in a while. Weston asks, still scanning the list. Some part of him still holds on to the idea of bringing Zane back, since even though the kid walked away with over 10 million yuan, he might still want to work again, and young people, after all, tend to get restless after a while of doing nothing. Recruiting him back would be a solid move, whether for actual work or just to spite the Chi family. There's news, it's just... Vesper's expression turns strange the moment the question comes up, which only makes Weston more curious. After that whole affair wrapped up, he didn't just pocket 10+ million, he also took out an 80 million yuan loan from the Ashford Bank branch. Vesper holds up 8 fingers. 80 million? Weston looks genuinely surprised and shakes his head. That kid's got guts. Here I was thinking about hiring him back, and it turns out he's already gone and started his own company. What line of business is he in? Bottled water. Vesper's expression gets even stranger. What? Weston looks stunned. You're messing with me. Come on, you're messing with me, right? What's so special about bottled water? It's slapping us in the face and kicking us while we're down, all in one move. And it's real, Vesper says, sounding thoroughly baffled herself. I got curious and did some digging myself. Turns out he already has a finished product, and tonight Rocco set up a dinner. One of the guests happens to be a friend of mine, and he told me the guest of honor tonight is Zane, and apparently Zane's bringing along some mysterious new product to show off. Let's go, Weston says, tossing down the file and standing up. Let's go take a look. Well, Vesper hesitates. Even if he's actually in this business, he's still just starting out. If we show up like this, wouldn't that be giving him too much credit? There's already gossip going around out there. Things only just quieted down. If you go now, never underestimate an opponent. Weston cuts in, dead serious, and rises to leave. Vesper watches him walk out, shaking her head slightly. She figures Weston is just overthinking this whole thing, reading way too much into it. There's no mastermind quietly pulling strings here. It's all just coincidence. Still, once Weston's made up his mind, she has no choice but to follow along. At the Dynasty International Hotel in Ashford City, we all step out of the car, following the staff's directions to the elevator, and soon we arrive at the private room Rocco told us about. The room is genuinely massive, big enough to fit an entire 3-bedroom apartment inside it, with gold-trimmed, opulent decor gleaming under the lights, dripping with luxury. Rocco and the others are seated, smoking, chatting, sipping tea. The moment I walk in, Rocco leaps up, grinning, and pulls me into a hug. Everyone, our guest of honor has arrived, he announces to the room. This is Zane. Look at him, a real talent, a rising star. A sharp young man, I've got high hopes for him. Old Rocco's told us this story so many times I've practically got it memorized. Finally getting to meet the man himself. Come. Everyone rises to greet me, all men, 7 or 8 of them, and the room buzzes with noise. Off to one side sits a smaller adjoining room, door open, men and women visible inside, clearly reserved for these bosses, secretaries, and drivers. Ren has obviously seen this kind of setup before, and after a quick nod to me, she takes the initiative and leads Bronson and Duke over to that side room. Rocco, meanwhile, drags me forward. Come on, let me introduce you around. This is Director Foster from the Ashford Bank head office, and this is President Otis from Meridian Securities, this is Holden, who owns Dynasty International, and this is President Garrison of Grandview Construction. I've either heard of these people's companies before, or picked up something about them recently. Foster is, probably the poor soul who ended up processing my large transfer authorization. Otis from Meridian Securities is a heavy-set man, and Holden is actually the owner of this very 5-star hotel we're standing in. Dynasty International is a hotel chain, apparently with quite a few branches outside the province too. As for the rest, I don't know them well, and none of them exactly look like they're in the business of lending me money. I go around greeting everyone one by one. Rocco grins. Hey Zane, word is you took out an 80 million loan to start your own business. So what exactly are you building? Where's this new product of yours? Let's see it. There it is. That's exactly what I was waiting to hear. I grin. My product is going to shock you all, leave every one of you speechless. Let me be upfront. I'm personally desperate for cash, but once this product hits the market, it's a goldmine. A mountain of money, so don't worry about me defaulting on you. I'll take high-interest loans. All of you should invest in me personally. Everyone catches on immediately. They're all seasoned businessmen. If it were investment in a company, they'd hesitate, afraid their hard cash might turn into worthless equity. But funding someone's personal loan to run their business, that's different. It signals the borrower has zero doubt in their own company's earning potential, that they have no intention of selling equity on the cheap, which in turn is exactly the kind of confidence that hints at real potential. Everyone in the room perks up with interest. Bring it out, let's take a look. Since you're this confident, Zane, as long as the product actually delivers, there's nothing more to discuss. Our head office could arrange a batch of loans too. Meridian Securities is very interested as well. Everyone chimes in, giving me plenty of face. I don't waste time explaining further. I just reach into the insulated case I brought and pull out a stack of bioenergy ampules, handing 1 pack to each person. Everyone watches, a little confused by the gesture. What kind of product needs an insulated case like this? Isn't that reserved for high-tech equipment? Once the product's in their hands, the confusion only deepens. They study the packaging, read the precautions on the back, and every single one of them looks completely lost. Zane, I genuinely have no idea what this is. Rocco asks the question everyone's clearly thinking. Every head in the room turns toward me at once. I tear open the packaging and pull out a single bioenergy ampule, flashing a mysterious smile. Trust me, just try it first and you'll get it. Here, just snap it open. I go first, and the others follow my lead, though they still hesitate, staring at what looks suspiciously like medicine. Is this thing even legitimate? But the packaging does say beverage after all, even if it's absurdly small and looks bizarre. Maybe it's some kind of saccharin or syrup concentrate. Watching me drink mine, they slowly, hesitantly bring theirs to their lips too. Within moments, the whole room falls silent. until someone suddenly bolts upright, staring in disbelief. This feeling, it's incredible. What is this stuff? This is way too much, and one by one the others start talking over each other, shocked and unsettled, all feeling the same strange sensation. Garrison from Grandview Construction, his expression shifting rapidly, mutters, "I need to hit the bathroom," while the rest, including Rocco, are burning with curiosity and shock in equal measure, a suspicion quietly forming in the back of their minds. I grin. "So, how's my company's new product? Pretty stunning effect, isn't it? Hard to say if it's good or bad since I've never felt anything like it before," Rocco says, clearly conflicted. "It's just Zane, is this thing actually legal?" "What makes you think it's illegal?" I laugh. "This is something entirely new, nothing like it has ever existed before. If you insist on calling it illegal, then I'd have to disagree. There isn't a single law anywhere that explicitly bans this." Rocco and the others exchange glances, faces washed in shock. "Something entirely new, never seen before? What's the production capacity? And the price?" Grady's hand trembles as he grips his cup. "We can supply 2 million units a day, 30 yuan per unit." I hold up 3 fingers. Everyone gasps sharply. Someone's face drains white. He rises unsteadily to his feet. "Sorry, I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. I need to go take some medication." Seeing that, others start to follow suit, but the moment they catch the glint in my eyes, they freeze in place thinking, what if this guy's got a gun? Damn it, this is all Rocco's fault. They're ready to strangle him. The whole room glares daggers at Rocco. "Alright then, let me walk you through the details, and let's talk about how much you're each willing to lend me," I ask. "Wait!" Rocco forces out a laugh, feeling every eye in the room boring into his back like knives. "Let's eat first. Everyone's starving. We can talk business over the meal." I get a faint sense something's off, but I'm a guest here, so I go along with it. Rocco waves the staff over to start serving, and soon the table's covered in elegant dishes. Everyone raises their glasses and I don't refuse. We toast and drink back and forth, and I'm already thinking of them all as my future creditors. But what I never expected was this. Less than 20 minutes into the meal, the door bursts open. A crash rings out, startling everyone, and a wave of fully armed law enforcement officers storms in, riot lights and handguns raised, and everyone at the table shoots to their feet, every finger snapping in unison, pointing directly at me. Still stunned, I'm slapped into handcuffs before I even register what's happening, and someone shouts, "3 more in that room over there! What's going on? Why are you arresting us? This is a setup!" Bronson and Duke's roaring protests snap me back to reality. I quickly speak up. "This is a misunderstanding, all of it." "Shut it." Garrison, who's been gone for a suspiciously long half-hour in the bathroom, steps forward, looking at me with pure contempt. "Do you have any idea who I am before I went into business? I was on the narcotics squad." "You're finished, kid. I already recorded everything, developing a brand new controlled substance, churning out 2 million units a day at 30 yuan a pop. Were you trying to corner the entire global drug market? Just wait for the death sentence, loser. Someone your size, once they've executed you, the bullets alone would weigh half of you. Screw you." I glare at this old bastard with pure venom, absolutely blindsided that this old fool took one sip and immediately turned around and reported me. "Can I make a phone call?" Ren speaks up calmly, her composed tone throwing everyone else off balance. "No." The officer refuses on the spot, leaving Ren speechless. The 4 of us are marched forward under escort, with onlookers whispering and pointing as we pass, especially a man and a woman standing near the hotel lobby, both watching the scene unfold in total disbelief. "He's manufacturing and selling controlled substances? Wasn't he selling bottled water?" Weston stares at Vesper, stunned, and Vesper's own jaw drops in equal shock. "I have no idea." "Go find out, quickly, right away." Vesper hangs up the phone, looking dazed. Apparently he's been using the beverage business as a front to develop a brand new controlled substance, and word is, daily output is close to 2 million units. Weston is floored, muttering under his breath, "Well, damn. Unprecedented. That kid really is talented. If he'd never gotten caught, he could have dominated the global underground drug market with barely any effort. This is a major case, a massive case. East River Province is about to become famous overnight because of this. That kid's name is definitely making the news tomorrow." Name. I'm innocent. There's no controlled substance. That's just a beverage. It has 0 side effects. Behave yourself! Name, Zane. Age, 25. Soon, because I refuse to cooperate, the interrogation wraps up. Get in there. I'm shoved into a holding cell. This is the detention center's holding room, a converted space carved out of what used to be one large room, lined wall to wall with iron bars. Most of the cells sit empty, except one small unit where a heavy-set man lies sprawled out on the floor. "Hey buddy, what'd you do to end up here?" the man asks, turning his head toward me. "Selling beverages," I say, half exasperated. "Funny, I was selling sugar." Sugar snaps back, sounding genuinely irritated. "Damn it, I sold a little candy, so what if it was overpriced? Is that a crime? Why the hell would they arrest me for that?" "Wait, seriously?" I ask, genuinely surprised. "They're arresting people for overpricing now? Don't scare me like that. How much is your beverage anyway?" Sugar asks. 30 yuan a bottle. A little pricey, sure, but nothing outrageous. "Then why'd they arrest you?" Sugar looks even more baffled. "How much is in one bottle?" 25 milliliters. I answer. "No way." Sugar's jaw drops. "You're a bigger crook than me. That's basically a yuan per milliliter. Are you selling liquid gold or something?" "My rock sugar only runs a few hundred yuan a bag." "Quiet. No talking." 2 armed officers standing guard cut our conversation short, one of them fixing his glare on me. "Drop the act. Developing a new controlled substance, cranking out 50 metric tons a day. Nobody's going to save you from this." "What?" Sugar's jaw drops all over again, blurting out, "You're actually serious, a new controlled substance, 50 tons a day. What are you, some kind of Breaking Bad chemist?" "I'm not, don't spread rumors. I don't even bother arguing hard since I know I'll be fine anyway, so I stay perfectly calm." Half an hour passes before I hear noise from down the hall. A line of people in black hoods gets marched in, all of them cuffed to a row of bars along the wall. Once the hoods come off, the whole group immediately starts shouting that they're innocent, but right then, one of them turns and looks straight at me, and I glance back at her, quickly turning away. "Boss! Boss! Stop hiding, boss! I already saw you!" Reese shouts, gripping the bars in excitement. "Boss, please, explain to them. We're all innocent. Great, just great." I cover my face with my hand, realizing every single salesperson in the company got caught. Not one of them slipped through. They're all sitting in here now. And moments ago he was shouting he was innocent, now his whole squad of underlings has landed in here too. Sugar jumps to his feet, face pure suspicion. What the hell? I'm completely out of words at this point. Meanwhile, in a dignified, solemn office building across town, a sharp knock at the door interrupts everything. Desmond's brow furrows. Secretary Yang bursts in, drenched in sweat, and before Desmond can even get a word out, he blurts out, "Sir, something's happened. Miss Wren has been arrested, suspected of developing a new controlled substance and mass manufacturing and distributing it." "What?" Desmond is stunned for a moment, then his brow tightens into a hard line. "That's impossible. That girl would never do something like that." "It's confirmed, sir," Secretary Yang says, wiping sweat off his forehead. "Miss Wren identified herself, and the authorities reached out to us immediately. Do you think it's possible that—" "Possible that what?" Desmond fixes him with an icy stare. Secretary Zhang hurries to finish his thought. "That Zane guy is known for taking risky shortcuts. What if he got himself in trouble? And Miss Wren just got caught in the crossfire?" Desmond's expression shifts the instant he hears that. "That kid might play things unconventionally, but he wouldn't dance on the edge of a blade. Let's go take a look ourselves." "But sir, your position, your status. If this turns out to be true, status won't mean a damn thing. Move now." "Yes, sir." That night unfolds in a storm of chaos. The next morning, I'm woken up abruptly. "Mr. Zane, our apologies, this was all a misunderstanding." The head of the local enforcement department stands there, face plastered with an apologetic smile, and personally leads a team to unlock the cell doors for me, Reese, and the rest of the sales crew. "No way," Sugar mutters, groggily blinking his eyes open, and taking in the sight in front of him, he snaps upright, gripping the bars in disbelief. "You're actually getting out? What kind of connections do you people have? What was he even brought in for?" the department head asks, frowning, turning toward the officer beside him. "He was passing off rock sugar as a controlled substance to sell it. Not technically illegal, but it's borderline fraud, and since the buyers can't really press charges, we honestly weren't sure how to handle it, so we just kept him locked up for now," the officer explains, sounding genuinely at a loss. "This is a setup, sir. I'm a good person. I only sold a handful of units before getting arrested. The total involved isn't even 3,000 yuan. There's no reason I should be behind bars." Sugar keeps protesting his innocence, and the department head rubs his temples. After a colossal blunder like this one, he's worried this guy might make a scene later and cause more headaches, so he sighs and just says, "Let him go. Thank you so much." Sugar practically vibrates with joy, trailing right behind everyone else out of the cell before bolting off. By the time I reach the main lobby, I spot Ren standing beside a middle-aged man, the man holding a bioenergy ampule in his hand, deep in conversation with someone nearby, while two elderly men stand off to the side, visibly trembling with excitement, hands and feet shaking. "Boss!" Ren waves me over, and the whole group turns to look at me, the two elderly men rushing forward immediately. "Are you the one who developed this special bioenergy strain? You're so young, this is unbelievable. And you are?" I ask, genuinely confused. "My name is Alden, professor at Ashford University School of Medicine, and head of epidemiology and chief of infectious diseases at Ashford University Affiliated Hospital." He introduces himself first, then gestures toward the elderly man beside him. "And this is Professor Thaddeus, who's been giving lectures at Ashford University School of Biology lately." Professor Thaddeus is one of Draconia's top scholars in microbiology, a researcher at the National Institute of Microbiology, and one of the leading figures at the National Biological Laboratory. Whoa. I stare at both of them, genuinely caught off guard, knowing full well that the bioenergy strain shaking the scientific world was probably inevitable, but pulling in figures of this caliber in this short a window of time. "Young man, I was wondering if we might have a conversation," Professor Thaddeus says, visibly thrilled. "This strain you've discovered is absolutely astonishing. This is a discovery that will shake the entire scientific world. Last night we ran a preliminary study on this strain, and we found that its emergence is going to send massive shockwaves through the scientific community. There are countless research directions branching off from this alone. You could say this entirely new mutated strain has single-handedly opened up a completely new frontier in modern biology. You flatter me." I give a small nod. "We've actually already conducted extensive research on this strain ourselves, and I can tell you with certainty, this discovery will absolutely cause a stir, but it's nowhere near opening up an entirely new frontier." I walk Professor Thaddeus through the strain's key properties, and his excitement noticeably deflates for a moment, but he recovers quickly, eyes lighting back up. "Then is there any possibility of the strain mutating again? Forget everything else. Just imagine if the strain's viable temperature threshold rose by another 10 degrees, this thing could reshape the entire world, transform the human constitution itself, and achieve the full-scale evolution of the human species. Of course that's not going to happen." I shake my head quietly to myself. knowing that the technology I acquired from the system shop is essentially already fully developed, which means there's zero chance this strain undergoes a second mutation on its own, so it can never drive human evolution. Its only real function is as a supporting ingredient for the gene purification serum. Of course, I'm not about to just say that outright. Instead, I let my eyes light up. You already know I'm running a company, sir. I simply don't have the bandwidth to pour resources into deep research like this, so what if our company partnered directly with you on this research? Absolutely, Professor Thaddeus says, rubbing his hands together with excitement. I'm not a greedy old man. This discovery of yours is genuinely enough to shake the entire world, and once I take this on, it's bound to draw in top talent from every corner of the globe, and that would be an enormous boost for me and for everything my team is working on. So here's my promise, right here. Any results that come out of this research, we'll only retain the right to use them ourselves for research purposes, and any action that generates profit will require your explicit authorization before we move forward, and every cent of profit, minus costs, belongs entirely to you. Then I owe you my thanks, Professor Thaddeus. I can't hold back the grin spreading across my face, genuinely thinking this old man is one of the most trustworthy people I've met, to the point it almost makes me a little embarrassed, because this is exactly the type who chases knowledge and reputation, never profit, someone who lives purely for the research and couldn't care less about extra income. There's no question about it, even though this special strain can't function as a purification serum on its own, it still holds enormous research value, and if it's developed properly, the downstream profits are guaranteed to be substantial. Alright then, I say, thinking it over. For this joint research project, I won't be putting in any capital for now. Your team will cover the cost temporarily, but I can promise you this. From now on, whenever any research yields a profit, 20% of the net gain goes straight into the research fund, yours to spend as you see fit, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Professor Thaddeus grips my hand, brimming with gratitude. There's no need to doubt it. This is a brand new strain, my own secret formula. As long as I'm willing, countless institutions would gladly fund me, staff me, just to let me keep researching. Professor Thaddeus is willing to forego any share of the profits, all just to lock down this project. In real research, failure always outweighs success by far. He'd already braced himself for heavy losses, but now that I'm offering 20% of the profits, there's no way this can lose money. This is a win-win. Of course, I won't lose out either. I don't have to lift a finger, just sit back and count the cash. As for doing the research myself, that's completely out of the question. I'd rather spend that time figuring out how to borrow more money. Compared to what's on offer in the system shop, the bioenergy strain isn't even worth mentioning. Zane, Alden, standing nearby, can't hold back any longer and jumps in. Zane, we need this strain for our medical research too. In so many ways, your bioenergy ampules could give our treatments an enormous boost. Ashford University School of Medicine has a lab for this too, a national key laboratory no less. We'd love to collaborate. Could you give us a chance? Then Alden quickly adds, our terms are the same as Professor Thaddeus's, and since Ashford University-affiliated hospital falls under the medical school, funding isn't an issue for us. We don't even need a share of the research fund. All we want is the partnership credit. Alden had already tested the strain's medical applications the night before, and the results were staggering. He knows I don't really need to partner with them at all. I could just sell it as a drink, and they'd still have to buy it, funding their own research out of pocket just to chase better clinical results, so he doesn't dare ask for research funding. Right now he'd be thankful just to land the partnership title, because with that title, Ashford University-affiliated hospital and the medical school are bound to stand out as the shining stars of the medical world. I've been planning to sell the bioenergy ampules as a health supplement all along, so naturally I already know what Alden is thinking, but it doesn't really matter. I run a company. Titles like that don't mean much to me. And besides, this partnership works in my favor. Once the bioenergy ampules carry Ashford University's name, they'll practically sell themselves, and I won't have to worry about rumors or smear campaigns. Plus, partnering with an institution like this brings all kinds of hidden benefits. For example, Zane, Alden suddenly ups the offer saying, as far as I know, your company Star C is brand new, and probably still lacks a lot of employee benefits. Once we're official partners, your staff can get free regular checkups at Ashford University-affiliated hospital, and for future treatment, both they and their family members can also use our internal staff channel. This perk is exclusive to our own hospital staff, but I can authorize it and extend it straight to our partners. Here's to a great partnership. I reach out and shake Alden's hand. Alden's face lights up instantly. With both deals settled, I turn to look at Ren, who's standing beside a middle-aged man, looking every bit the proper lady. That has to be her father. I step forward to shake his hand, smiling. Good day, sir. Hello. Desmond looks me up and down, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. No need to be so polite, Zane. After a whole night of chaos, you're looking remarkably fresh. Does that mean you've got a problem with me? I glance at Ren, thinking, fair enough. I did drag his daughter through a whole night in a holding cell, and on a charge of manufacturing a new type of contraband, no less. This doting father in front of me was probably worried sick all night, so I quickly say, sorry, I'm truly sorry, that was thoughtless of me. I should have made sure Assistant Ren got home safely last night. Only then does Desmond's expression soften. He pats my shoulder and says, forget it. Kids grow up. Call it delayed rebellion. Keep it up, son. I've seen your product. It's the real deal. Keep both feet on the ground moving forward and your future's limitless. You flatter me. I nod repeatedly, then see everyone off. Once outside the detention center, Bronson and Duke are already waiting. I get in the car, pull out my phone, and call Rocco. Hello? Rocco's voice comes through cautious. It's me. I say deadpan. You old geezer, what's your deal? You said you'd take me to dinner, and instead you got me thrown in a cell? Zane, you're out? Rocco is stunned. He'd assumed the caller was law enforcement. He quickly asks, how'd you get out? I already told you it's not contraband. It's not contraband. It's a brand new product, I say flatly, out of patience. Well, Rocco stammers awkwardly for a moment, then says, it was a misunderstanding. I'm really truly sorry. Tell you what, go home and rest up. Tonight I'll set up a dinner, we'll get together, and I'll have that bastard Garrison serve you tea and apologize in person. Skip the tea serving. I roll my eyes. I don't have time anytime soon. The product's too good, I can't help it. Even an academician from the Academy of Sciences has come knocking, and Ashford University's medical school showed up wanting to partner too. No get-togethers for a while. I'm calling just to let you know. With that, I hang up. This whole thing was one big mix-up, nothing but a misunderstanding. I'm not petty enough to hold a grudge over it. Besides, those people are all deep pockets. My future creditors. I need to maximize my gains here, so turning them away is out of the question. But if they come knocking with cash in hand, I certainly won't be shy about taking it. As I mull this over, I can't help but grin, and that's when Duke suddenly speaks up. Boss, maybe you should give Director Foster a call too? Last night after the officers questioned us, they contacted Director Foster, and after we got out, we didn't know what to say, so we never followed up. He's probably under a lot of stress right now. Under stress, is he? Way too much. At that very moment, in Foster's home, his eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night, Foster has already tied a noose and hung it up. Foster, don't do anything rash, his plump young wife wails, clutching his arm. Foster covers his face with one hand in anguish, the other gripping the rope. I've failed you all. I was too eager to climb the ladder. One wrong step and it's a bottomless pit. This is all my fault. I never should have approved that loan for the kid. It was already against the rules, and no matter how careful I was, I never imagined he'd use it to cook drugs. 80 million, damn it, 50 tons a day. The guy's either a genius or a lunatic. No wonder 10 million in returns wasn't enough for him. He insisted on borrowing 80 million at sky-high interest, and I kept wondering what kind of business could possibly rake in that much cash. What kind of business gave him the confidence to pull off a loan like that? And here I thought he was a fool, selling bottled water of all things. Turns out I'm the fool. No, please, his wife sobs, pleading. We don't need any of it. Forget everything. Let's just go. As long as you're alive, that's all that matters. Don't try to talk me out of this. Otherwise, if this drags in Sterling, we're all finished. Only if I'm gone. Can you two still have a good life? That's how it has to be. I'm exhausted. Let it all end. Foster closes his eyes in despair, and right at that moment, his phone starts ringing on the floor. His wife glances at the screen. It's Sterling, answer it now. Foster snatches up the phone and picks up the call. Director Foster, set up a meeting with Zane for me. Sterling's voice comes through, tinged with both wonder and emotion. Ah, meet with Zane? How? The kid's in jail, probably about to be executed any day now. Wait, Foster suddenly catches himself. Right, Zane's about to die. This must be Sterling's veiled way of telling him to go meet Zane in the afterlife himself. Ah, I understand. Foster sighs, saying with resignation, Sterling, I only ask that you look after my wife and kids. I don't need riches for them, just make sure no one pushes them around. What are you talking about? Sterling is baffled. Why does this old guy sound like he's on the verge of suicide? I understand. Foster continues, grief-stricken Sterling. This whole thing is bound to drag me down with it. I'm the one who approved that 80 million. I'll take full responsibility. Don't you worry. I'll never let this fall back on you. Today I'm ending it, and nobody's going to stop me. Wait, don't. Damn it. Sterling is so alarmed he curses out loud. Your information is way out of date. Zane's already been released, he's completely fine. It's not contraband. It's something about to shake up the entire world. Your 80 million is pocket change to him. He can earn it back in 2 days. I need you to help me set up a meeting with him. Don't you dare actually go through with this. What? Foster's whole body jolts. Really? I swear it's true, Sterling quickly explains. Who would have guessed? That kid's bottled water isn't bottled water at all. He's just been selling something extraordinary disguised as water. His factory rakes in tens of millions a day. I've only had limited contact with him, so I need a favor from you. Set up a meeting, let me talk business, see if there's any chance of getting on board early. As he says this, Sterling genuinely feels the weight of it. When he first heard the news last night, he'd nearly had a heart attack himself. Holy hell, this young guy borrowed 80 million to manufacture contraband. 50 tons a day, that's terrifying, forget about anyone else. If that had actually been true, even his own grandfather would have paid a steep price. But never in a million years did he expect the winds to shift completely overnight. It's not contraband at all. It's something that's about to stun the entire world. A guaranteed goldmine. Who wouldn't want a taste of that action? As for getting a real cut of the pie, though, that seems unlikely. Why's that? Foster asks, puzzled. With your standing, Sterling, landing a real stake should be easy enough. And with you backing him, his whole venture would be that much more secure. You think it's my place to help him? Not a chance, Sterling says, exasperated. I only just found out myself. Turns out you're something else, Foster, handing off Speaker Desmond's daughter to be his little assistant. Is that how you thought you'd get ahead? Who? Wren? Speaker Desmond's daughter. Foster can hardly believe it. You're kidding, right, Desmond? That man carries far more weight than my own grandfather. The Hu family patriarch only oversees a division. There's someone above him. But Desmond runs the entirety of East River Province, and his word is final. Good, now you know, Sterling says helplessly. And setting everything else aside, this new product Zane's cooked up on its own. is enough to draw attention from every level, so trying any funny business is completely out of the question. Have you ever seen anyone dare pull something under a spotlight like that? And now with Speaker Desmond backing him, forget East River, who in the whole country would dare make a move? So it all comes down to who's willing to offer the most, whatever it is Zane wants. Getting a seat on this ship won't come easy. I understand, Foster says, getting it now. Don't worry, I'll do everything I can to arrange that meeting for you. Thank you. If this comes together, I'll make it worth your while. Wait, you want to lend me money? I perk up instantly, sitting bolt upright, eyes lighting up. Director Foster, I still haven't paid back the 80 million I owe. You sure you'll still lend to me? Come on now. Director Foster laughs heartily. Zane, you're a man of real talent. Even before you had a product, I still dared to lend you 80 million. Now that you've got a real product, forget 80 million. 800 million works just fine. If it weren't for my limited authority, I'd hand you the whole bank. Wow, you really know how to lay it on thick. I'm genuinely impressed and I laugh. Alright, let's meet in half an hour at my place. Sure, I'll head over right now. Half an hour later, Director Foster and Sterling arrive together at my door. I don't feel the least bit surprised. Last night's chaos basically blew the bioenergy ampules' name wide open. It hasn't made a splash in the retail market yet, but among capital and power circles, word's probably already spread everywhere, and that works in my favor. It's nearly mid-July now, and I can't wait to borrow more money and spend it. The more I borrow, the better tech I unlock next month, and the better I can talk up my next round of borrowing after that. It's a self-sustaining cycle. Welcome, I gesture, inviting the two of them to sit. Foster responds quickly, wearing a smile the entire time. To him, I'm no longer just some lucky broke kid. Even someone like Sterling is rushing to seek a partnership. I've clearly become someone important now. Sterling looks at me. I seem no different from how I was half a month ago, and can't help but feel a little dazed. Back then he'd marveled at how easygoing I was, wondering where my confidence came from. He never imagined it would turn out this astonishing, truly earth-shattering. Setting everything else aside, the bioenergy ampoule alone is enough to carry me to the pinnacle of success, to turn me into a true power player. Not to mention the rumors circulating that Speaker Desmond is quite pleased with this kid, showering him with favors. No doubt about it, this kid's almost certainly got something going with the speaker's daughter. Otherwise, how could a devoted father like that let him rise so fast? Sterling can't help but envy Ren. She's a match even he couldn't reach. If he'd known she worked under Foster, he'd have rushed to win her favor long ago. He'd only ever heard that Speaker Desmond had a daughter, but unfortunately Desmond had been transferred from the capital to lead operations in East River, and everyone assumed his daughter had stayed behind in the capital, never imagining she'd been hiding in plain sight all along, working as an ordinary bank teller right here in Ashford City. Talk about a needle hiding in a haystack. Zane. Sterling's tone turns notably humble. In his eyes, even without Ren in the picture, I'm someone destined to stand as his equal someday, and with Ren by my side, I'm bound to rise even higher above him. Sterling, have a seat. I invite them both to sit and pull out 2 bottles of iced tea, smiling as I say, haven't moved yet, so there's not much to drink at my place. Mind having this again? Sure. Sterling laughs. Every time I come here, Zane, you take me right back to my school days. Foster takes his bottle eagerly, laughing. If you ask me, tea's tea, I can't taste the difference anyway. Honestly, I like this iced tea just fine. Nice and sweet. Beside us, Bronson and Duke exchange odd looks. They remember perfectly well that back when they were first hired, Foster had once complained about this exact iced tea for ages. Let's cut to the chase. I might be a little busy today, I say, smiling. The National Biology Lab, headed by Professor Thaddeus at the Academy of Sciences, is about to sign a formal partnership with my company, and Ashford University-affiliated hospital too, so I'll probably need to head to Way County today to sign a few contracts, with reporters tagging along, so I might not have much time to spend with you two. I'll take you both out for a proper meal another time. No need to stand on ceremony, business comes first. Inwardly, Sterling is stunned. He never expected anyone to move this fast. They're not part of the capital world exactly, but it's obvious that once a press conference goes public, getting on board will only get harder. Zane, I won't beat around the bush. We were both very satisfied with our last deal, so this time I wanted to ask whether there's room to keep working together, Sterling says, then adds, name your price, I won't haggle at all, just give me a chance. Afraid not. I shake my head, and Sterling's spirits sink a little, though he'd half expected as much. That said, there is another way to invest. I wonder if you'd be interested, Sterling. What way? Sterling perks right up. Invest in me personally. I point at myself. Honestly, Starcy doesn't need capital. Getting a loan is easy enough, and outside financing does nothing for the company. Trading equity for market access would be laughable after all. This is a product that's going to steamroll the entire industry, but I'm genuinely short on cash. I've loved research since I was young. I dabble in every field imaginable, and I have no intention of resting on Starcy's laurels forever. So I need a massive amount of capital. For research, for expansion. You've probably already run the numbers on Starcy's future earnings. Calling it a money printing machine would honestly undersell it, which is why I need a large sum of money. The more the better, and I'm willing to pay a high rate of interest for it. Hearing this, Sterling looks a little disappointed, because with a straight loan, no matter how high the interest, how high could it really go? For people like them, putting that money into a proper investment would yield far more even with the added risk, though his standing pretty much guarantees the risk stays low anyway. The interest is high, I emphasize again. A thought flashes through Sterling's mind. High? What do you mean? Is this a pure credit loan with no collateral at all? Naturally, I smile. I already told you the amount I need to borrow is huge. Of course the interest is going to be sky high. Otherwise, how else would I secure it? Next, I plan to mortgage Starsea's company shares for a loan. But that's a bank-only route, not private lending. Banks offer lower interest, and it's a sure thing for them. There's no way they'd pass it up. Only once the shares are fully mortgaged will I start borrowing under my own name, with no collateral left. Naturally, the interest will be sky high. Both Sterling and Foster are floored. They'd both assumed I was after some kind of secured loan, and had been curious why I'd pay such high interest instead of just going to a bank. But they never imagined this guy was planning to borrow through every channel at once. How much money do you actually need? Sterling blurts out. As much as possible. I pull out a calculator and start crunching numbers. Right now, Starsea's daily profit runs about 50 million. That's 1.5 billion a month, 18 billion a year. In theory, an asset this good should be worth 100 billion, easily. No exaggeration. But obviously, for a brand new product, no matter how amazing the results, no matter how good it sounds, no bank is ever going to value my company at 100 billion. After all, disaster can strike any time. If the technology ever leaks, or someone reverse engineers it, at that point the company would be worth nothing at all. Unless we've already dominated the entire national health supplement market, there's no way this company gets valued at 100 billion. The risk's too high. Getting to 10 billion would already be a win. So, after the bank loan, I'll need to move into private credit lending as well. The more the better. It all comes down to how the market values me personally, how much faith they have in my product, and how much they're willing to bet before they think it'll collapse. 10 billion isn't even enough? Sterling and Foster are absolutely dumbfounded. Borrowing this much? What could it possibly be for? Cashing out and skipping town? Could the product be hiding some unknown flaw? Why would he do something like this? What could he possibly need that much money for? Neither of them can wrap their heads around my logic. What kind of research needs 10 billion? Is he planning to build an aircraft carrier? But how could they know that to me this earth-shattering new product is best exploited, above all else, through mortgage loans? 100 billion is unrealistic, pure fantasy. Nobody would lend that much. But 10 billion? That's doable. And that alone converts to 1 million debt points. And here's the thing. The vital water enhancement technology alone cost me just 5,000 points. 1 million debt points is a staggering amount, enough to unlock everything across the board, enough to crush any high-tech company out there. This is my real path to the top. The water tech was just the beginning. It never even registered as a big deal to me. Brother, I don't fully understand it, but I'm genuinely floored. To be honest, I can't make this call on my own. Let me go home and talk it over with my family. Whoever said the price is cheap, feel free to reach out anytime. Sterling, thoroughly shaken, gets up to leave. Foster too has been in a daze this whole time. Clearly, with numbers this large, this isn't a decision he can make alone either. I stand to see them off smiling. Whatever I've said to you two today, consider it my final word. So if anyone else asks, I get it. Sterling suddenly understands. No wonder I'd been treating them with such regard. He'd even started to wonder if his own family really had tens of billions sitting around. Turns out this whole time, we'd just been using them as messengers. Fair enough. One moves in political circles, the other in finance. The two of them are the perfect grapevine. Impressive. As cunning as ever. This is still the same ruthless operator who plays with fire without flinching. Not one bit changed. What a shame. At Cloud C Group, Weston looks visibly frustrated. We shouldn't have just walked away back then. If we'd shown enough goodwill, there might have been room for a partnership. You think so? Vesper asks, surprised. With the bad blood between him and us sitting right there, how could he ever agree to work with us? That's where you're wrong. Weston picks up the bioenergy ampule sitting on the desk. He has no history with us at all. The bad blood is with the Prestons. To Cloud C Group as a whole, the Prestons are just one small piece of the puzzle. If a partnership were on the table, don't you think the major shareholders above would happily pay to cut the Prestons loose? He turns the ampule over in his hands, studying it, and continues. Our relationship with him isn't as bad as it looks. You need to see past the surface to the real picture. Never mind that our severance packages back then were more than generous. Plenty of our own staff are still on good terms with him. Looked at from a certain angle, we actually have an edge here. But unfortunately, Vesper shrugs, before we've actually landed a partnership, the shareholders won't spend big money to push the Prestons out, and as long as the Prestons remain part of Cloud C, there's no partnership to be had. It's a dead end. Nothing is ever completely impossible. Let's just wait for our moment. Weston sighs faintly, then asks, is this the only one? Vesper rolls her eyes. There are two. The other one's off getting tested. And don't complain that it's not enough. Even these two took every sweet word I had to get my hands on. You have no idea how close Rocco's crowd was to losing their minds over it. Weston bursts out laughing, gloating openly. Yesterday Zane went to see them with the product, gave a live demonstration even. Clearly he was looking for cash. That was the perfect moment to trade money for goodwill, but they blew it. Now instead of Zane coming to them for loans, they're the ones begging to hand over cash. While some celebrate, others stew. Meanwhile, back at the Dynasty International Hotel, in that same private room thick with smoke, several men sit slumped, faces heavy with regret. Rocco looks dead serious. I told you Zane was no ordinary guy, but none of you would listen. And now look, not only did he walk out completely unscathed, word is every major bank and capital firm out there is already lining up to throw money at him. Hearing this, the group grows even more sour. Not making a friend wouldn't have been a big deal on its own. They're all wealthy men themselves. None of them would normally chase after new connections. But this time is different. This is no ordinary man. and among the elite and the capital circles, there are no real secrets. Zane's product is about to sweep the market with unstoppable force. His future prospects are limitless, and what he's selling will never struggle to find buyers, since it's a proprietary formula all his own. He hasn't even filed a patent, so you couldn't sue him for monopolizing the market either, since he's never deliberately shut anyone out. If you can figure out the formula yourself, sell it, and if you can't, that's nobody's fault but your own. For a future billionaire like this, missing the golden window to become friends stings just thinking about it. Not to mention the rumors floating around that Zane might well become Speaker Desmond's son-in-law. Damn it, that just makes it sting even more, because someone like that is going to be someone they can only look up to from a distance, forever out of reach. This is all your fault, Garrison. Someone slams the table, furious. Trying to be clever, and now look what you've done. How do we fix this? Garrison keeps his head down, saying nothing. He knows he wasn't wrong exactly. It was all a misunderstanding, and technically he never offended anyone, but losing the chance to build a real connection eats at him even more. Zane, whether it's the fortune he's about to command, or the resources the Liu family could bring to the table, matters enormously to a construction industry boss like him. After lunch, it isn't even 2 o'clock yet when there's a knock at the door. Duke goes to answer it, and a group of solemn-faced professionals appears before the three of us, every one of them in a sharply tailored suit. Crisp lines projecting just the right blend of elegance and gravity, radiating professionalism and competence. Good day, Mr. Chen. Led in by Duke, the group files into the apartment, a dozen or more of them, packing the small rented room completely full, with what sounds like even more still waiting outside. Leading the group are 4 middle-aged men, who step forward to introduce themselves. Good day, Mr. Chen. I'm Everett, representing Ironclad Bank's East River head office, here to discuss loan terms with you. Good day, Mr. Chen. I'm Julian, representing National Trust Bank. Mr. Chen, I'm Winston, representing Harvest Bank. And I'm Lowell, representing Cornerstone Bank. Good day, all of you. I nod in greeting, and both sides begin discussing the loan. Everett has the look of a sharp, capable middle-aged man, radiating a seasoned, distinguished air, lean in build, clean-cut and dignified with a square, honest face. Mr. Chen, we fully understood the terms you've been putting out, and after extensive discussions between multiple banks and capital groups, we 4 major banks have been chosen to approach you directly, to discuss valuation, interest rates, and the maximum loan we can offer. I nod for him to continue. 20 billion. Everett smiles. Don't take that as an insult. The product itself is genuinely excellent, but the risk involved is very real too. No one can say how long before someone cracks it, and without a monopoly, this technology loses its value overnight. After extensive verification and discussion across the board, the highest valuation we can settle on for Star C is 20 billion, at an annual interest rate of 5%, and the maximum loan we can offer is likewise 20 billion, with a term limited to 1 year, jointly underwritten by the 4 of us, with the collateral being 100% of Star C shares. Of course, the key condition is that the bioenergy strain must legally belong to Star C itself, not to you personally, which means, if I fail to repay the loan a year from now, or if things fall apart before then, it's effectively the same as selling the entire strain formula to the banks for 20 billion flat. In terms of raw value, that's barely a single year's worth of profit. In fact, half a year would be enough time to scale up production. On paper, it looks like a bad deal, but that's not how I calculate. To me, time itself is the real cost that matters. Settlements happen monthly. The more I owe, the more debt points I earn. To the world of capital, once a technology exists, it's only a matter of time before someone cracks it. What they're really betting on is how much market share I can seize before that happens, and whether it'll all collapse afterward. Excellent. I nod, satisfied. So satisfied, in fact, that a small part of me grows suspicious. Right now, Star C is nothing but a rundown facility. Its only real value is the new strain, and yet these bankers are being remarkably straightforward. Without much haggling, both sides sign the agreement on the spot. Mr. Chen, a pleasure doing business. The loan will be transferred to your company's account tomorrow morning. Once the contracts are signed, Everett shakes my hand, and I rise to see them out. They leave just as briskly. Something's off, I mutter, rubbing my chin. Off how? Duke asks, baffled. He only knows the boss just struck it rich. They were way too accommodating, I say, puzzled. Sure, the strains formula is worth far more than what they offered, but they don't know that. From most people's point of view, we've only got a head start. Sooner or later, someone's bound to crack it. So why are they being this generous? Normally, they'd try to stall and squeeze us, and grab a bigger share for themselves. But no one pulled any tricks behind the scenes. They handed over the loan just like that, no strings attached. It doesn't add up. I'd even brace myself for a real fight. Strange. Maybe it has something to do with Ms. Liu, Bronson murmurs quietly. What does Ren have to do with any of this? Bronson looks at me, surprised, and says, Don't tell me you still don't know. Don't know what? I'm honestly confused. Ms. Liu's father. Seeing that I still don't get it, Bronson quickly explains. We got released early, walked out together with Ms. Liu, and you know what those officers called her father? Speaker Liu. Her father runs the entire East River province. What? I can hardly believe it, and my mind flashes back to last night, to Professor Thaddeus and Alden showing up out of nowhere. Holy hell. I can't help but rub my forehead. I'd assumed the bioenergy strain alone had drawn those two in, but it turns out it was really because of Ren's father. Thinking about it now, it makes sense. Even something as groundbreaking as this, for it to actually land in front of experts of that caliber, should have taken at least 2 or 3 days. The fact that they showed up overnight to verify and test it means Ren's father must have personally summoned them, just to clear his daughter's name. Now the truth's out. Turns out Ren's been hiding an identity like that all along. I'm not naive about how the world works, so I know exactly what a family like that means. Even now, with everything I've built, even if I push the bioenergy strain to its absolute peak and my net worth hits the hundreds of billions, at best it'd earn me a seat at her father's table, nothing more. That's what a true power player looks like. I pick up my phone and call her. Hello? Ren answers, her voice groggy like she's just woken up. Sleeping again? I ask, caught off guard. You think I'm like you? Ren sounds utterly worn out. I heard you were snoring loud enough to shake the walls in that holding cell. Reese and the others came out with dark circles under their eyes. I didn't have your kind of nerve. I barely slept a wink last night. A bead of sweat rolls down my forehead. Let's not talk about that. I actually wanted to ask, your father seems to have an issue with me. Scared? Ren perks right up. Scared might be too strong a word. I'm just thinking about when I should stop by with a gift and pay him a proper visit. Please, Ren scoffs. Save yourself the trouble. He's him and I'm me. He's famous for not playing favorites, not even with family. Flattering him is a complete waste of time. Got it. Doesn't play favorites except for you, huh? Guess flattering him is pointless. I should be flattering you instead, since he's such a doting father. Either way, this counts as an unexpected windfall. I hang up, a strange smile creeping across my face, with Ren in the picture. I've just cut myself an enormous amount of future trouble, and can focus wholeheartedly on my real mission, racking up debt. After mulling things over for a long while, I finalize my plans for what's next, and head out the door. Professor Thaddeus and Alden call, saying they'd like to bring their students to tour Starsea's facilities, with reporters tagging along as well. The two institutions will hold a signing ceremony at Starsea, though for now it's really just a preliminary agreement. The real press conference will take place a few days later, at Ashford University's medical school and the biology lab in the capital, so only a handful of reporters show up today, mostly from specialized outlets. Once we arrive in Wei County, I lead them through a tour of the facility, explaining as we go, and after signing the contracts, we all sit down together for a meal, and then everyone heads their separate ways. The reporters do write it up, but unfortunately, all three parties involved are impressive in substance, yet virtually unknown to the public. Aside from stirring up a bit of buzz within the biology, medical, and elite financial circles, the story barely registers anywhere else in the news. I check a short video app just to see, and something this monumental somehow only pulls in a few dozen comments. A genuinely pathetic turnout. Once everyone's been seen off, Starsea holds its very first internal meeting. When I tell the room I've just secured a $20 billion loan, every single face goes blank. They'd all known the company's prospects were promising, but none of them expected that in just a matter of days, $20 billion would land in the company accounts, even if it's all borrowed money. Boss, I don't think I'm cut out to be general manager anymore, Emmett says, hands and feet trembling slightly with the sheer weight of the moment. He's genuinely rattled. He's just an unremarkable professional manager, and the largest company he'd ever run was years ago, when he served as vice president at a firm worth a few $100 million. After that, he tried starting his own business, went bankrupt, and his wife left him. This is a $100 billion company now, if I mess this up too. I believe in you, I say, giving his shoulder a reassuring pat. Nobody's born knowing how to do anything. If you don't know how, then learn. I believe you can do this. Spend the $20 billion however you see fit. I only care about the results. Honestly, in half a month. Next month I'll be pocketing 2 million debt points regardless. Let him lose money if he wants. How much could he possibly burn through? Even if the company goes bankrupt, it hardly matters. Next month, any single piece of tech I pull out would be enough to earn it all back. To me, talent isn't the priority. My product is unstoppable on its own. What matters is loyalty and obedience. Over the past 2 weeks, Emmett has proven himself well suited for exactly that. He does whatever he's told, works like a draft horse. Most of the time I only need to say one word, and I can hand the rest off to him entirely. That's what real talent looks like. Boss, I'll never forget this act of faith as long as I live. Emmett is genuinely moved. $20 billion, and he just handed over full authority without hesitation. A loyal servant would die for a boss who trusts him like that, and this boss is exactly the mentor he's been waiting his whole life for. Good, you understand. Emmett straightens up quickly, and dozens of managers around the conference room stare at me, brimming with anticipation. I lean back in my chair, tapping the cheap furniture of this makeshift conference room and say, replace all of this. Get the good stuff, spare no expense. When I, Zane, do business, it isn't about lining my own pockets, it's about making sure every one of you gets to live well. Whether your salaries go up, I'll leave that in Emmett's hands, since he'll never shortchange any of you. But when it comes to food, housing, and everyday essentials, I want nothing but the best. No other reason than this. When the boss has money, he thinks of his people first. From now on, the cafeteria is free, we're hiring top chefs, buying the finest ingredients. As for housing, we're building proper dormitories, fully furnished top to bottom. I want every one of you living in comfort, with every kind of recreational amenity. Don't hold back over cost. Spend where it's needed. That lake outside, Moonlight Lake, we're planting trees all around it. Landscaping and environment have to be top-notch, so working here feels like strolling through a park. An Ashford University-affiliated hospital has just signed a partnership with us, which means from now on your benefits package includes full medical reimbursement. Any of you who've been with us over a year, if you're diagnosed with anything while working here, treatment is completely free. No way, seriously? Wait, for real, no cap? Oh my god, am I dreaming? The room erupts into a buzz of disbelief. Everyone breaks into excited chatter. It's real, I say, my tone solemn. As long as you treat this company like your home, this company will treat you like family. And this is no empty promise. If you've got the talent, put it to work, because this company has more than enough room for every one of you to shine. Long live the boss. Long live Zane. This is amazing. Damn, this boss is on another level. The room erupts into cheers. I look out over the crowd, unable to hold back a smile. Buying loyalty like this? Anyone could pull it off. The only difference is other people just dangle empty promises. I actually deliver. On my way out of the building, 2 new group chats appear on my phone. One for Starcy Beverage and Foods Management and one for all staff. Both groups are buzzing nonstop, everyone talking about today's meeting. Boss! Emmett hurries after me. What is it now, I ask. 2 things, Emmett says, catching his breath. First, there are 3 local staffing agencies in Wei County. They've heard about our employee benefits and want to work with you too. Are they crazy? What would we need a staffing agency for? I ask, genuinely confused. For HR, boss, we happen to be short-staffed there, Emmett says, smiling. I've checked out those 3 agencies. They're competent. And since we'll mostly be hiring general workers locally from Wei County, having some local connections would actually help. We'll still hire senior department staff separately, of course, but for the mid and lower level roles we could bring them in, split into 3 separate divisions, and let them compete against each other. You handle it, your call. What's the second thing? Before, we had no capital, so we had no choice but to sell door to door. And honestly, the product's good enough that a bit of promotion was all it took to start a chain reaction. So I was never worried about the market side of things, Emmett continues. But now that we have real capital, I'd like to launch an online campaign, build a proper website, let customers order and have products shipped directly, and run some advertising alongside it to get the product trending across the internet faster. That would boost sales and build brand recognition in no time. Just make the call yourself. I can't be bothered with these details. But boss, this isn't something I can decide alone, Emmett says, covering his face. You don't quite see it yet. The second this goes viral online, our current output, as massive as it looks, won't even come close to meeting demand, which means we need to expand production, either enlarge the current facility or open a new branch plant elsewhere. That's a decision you'll need to make. Just expand the current one, I answer, unbothered. The bottles are small, cold chain shipping in bulk is simple enough. No need for a whole new facility. There's one issue. Without a branch facility, shipping gets tricky since everything needs to stay refrigerated. We're going to need a huge supply of ice packs in various sizes. So should we set up our own production line for those, or outsource it? Emmett asks. I think it over briefly, then pull out my phone and make a call. Hey Coop, yeah, you already know what my factory does, right? Going forward, we're shipping a lot of product and we'll need a huge supply of ice packs in all different sizes. What I'm asking is, could you set up a production line for that? Sure, deal. We'll buy exclusively from you going forward, and don't worry about financing. I'll give you a contact, Foster at Ashford Bank. Go to him for a loan. Sounds good, sounds good. Let's grab a drink sometime. I hang up and turn to Emmett. That's handled. Just like that? Emmett is bursting with envy. He has no idea who I just called, but he knows exactly what it means. Another self-made fortune, born just like that. Anything else? I ask. Yes. Emmett quickly continues. Should our company headquarters be built right at the factory or somewhere else? Boss, now that we have the funds, my suggestion is to build a proper headquarters tower. We'll need it eventually anyway, so better to plan ahead. And there's also the matter of company vehicles, plus whether provincial sales should go through distributors or company-owned stores. All of that needs deciding. All of that is your job to handle. Just make the call yourself. I think it over. As for the headquarters, building it from scratch sounds like too much hassle. Tell you what, I'll just buy an existing building instead. Since the company will branch into other industries down the line, we'll put headquarters right here in Ashford City. As for company vehicles, you handle the purchasing, but my own car, I'll buy myself. Here in Ashford. Just have them deliver it to you when it's ready. Understood, boss. Emmett nods and hurries off. I climb into the car, and the 3 of us quickly disappear from Emmett's view. Early the next morning, Ren opens the door to the rented apartment, and to her astonishment, finds the 3 of us, who usually sleep well past noon, sitting perfectly upright on the couch, all staring straight at her. What's with you 3 staring at me like that? The goddess of fortune has finally arrived. I stand up asking, did the money go through? Ren gives me a flat look. It went through. I came straight over the moment it landed. Let's go. I take the lead. What's on the agenda today? Ren asks, surprised. Spending money. Spending it on what? Ren asks, curious. A house? A car? A building? I snap my fingers and Duke pulls the car around swiftly. A Mercedes SUV, though it's a rental. The 3 of them get in, with Duke quietly waiting for my instructions, but honestly, I don't know the first thing about luxury cars or real estate. So I turn to the 3 of them. Any of you know where to shop for high-end cars or houses in Ashford City? They exchange glances, then shake their heads in unison. I've only been in Ashford a year, never looked into that stuff, says Ren, apologetic that he can't help. Bronson and Duke echo the same. Neither is from Ashford originally, they just came here to work, and know nothing about the local scene. I pull out my phone, scroll through my contacts, and finally settle on Sterling, placing a voice call. Hey Sterling, you busy? Zane, not at all, go ahead. I'm just slacking off at the office anyway. I need someone who knows the high-end car and real estate market well. Think you could help? Absolutely, I'm your man. Sterling laughs heartily. One of my company's deals in luxury cars, come by and I'll give you dealer cost. Skip the discount, but thanks for the help. Just send me the address. Moments later, I hand my phone to Duke, who pulls up the navigation, and soon we arrive at one of Ashford City's high-end auto markets. From a distance, I spot Sterling standing outside, smoking. Sterling. I step out of the car, and Ren follows close behind. Sterling's easy smile stiffens noticeably. After shaking my hand, he quickly turns and says, Ms. Liu. Ren's response is cool and distant. Surprisingly commanding, actually, for a girl whose voice usually sounds so soft and gentle. Ignore her. Let's talk. I pull Sterling aside and say, I'm looking to buy a car for myself, one for my bodyguards and one for my company's general manager. That many? Sterling blinks in surprise, then quickly leads the group into the showroom. Zane, for your own car, are you thinking sports car or luxury sedan? No sports car. I shake my head and everyone glances at me, taken aback. Normally a young man who suddenly struck it rich would jump straight at a sports car. Could it be I just don't like them? I don't even have a license. I only ride, I don't drive. I point toward an SUV on the luxury display platform. That one looks good. I'll take it. Sterling's mouth twitches. He genuinely hadn't expected the no license part. He glances toward the display saying, that hardly matters anyway. I've got money. I make a point of playing the freshly minted tycoon, buying without ever asking the price. Alright then. Flaunting wealth, this shamelessly right in his face. Sterling honestly can't remember ever feeling this speechless in his life. That SUV and that sedan over there too. I point toward two more vehicles in the showroom, adding, the SUVs for my bodyguards, and have the sedan delivered to Star C's office in Wei County for the general manager. Wow. Sterling looks genuinely stunned. Driving a $9 million Cullinan himself is one thing, that's normal enough. But handing a $5 million G-Wagon to a bodyguard is starting to get ridiculous. And giving the general manager a $5 million Maybach on top of that? What kind of company is this? What's the total? I ask. Then immediately add, actually forget it, doesn't matter. Assistant Ren, go ahead and pay. Don't hold back on my account, Sterling. I just made 20 billion. Made 20 billion my foot? Both Ren and Sterling deadpan at the same moment, thoroughly unimpressed. That was clearly a loan, not earnings. By now Sterling's caught on. This guy isn't here to shop for cars at all. He's here purely to show off. Still, since I've made my position clear, Sterling drops the pretense of courtesy and simply charges the card 19 million on the spot. Normally buying cars like these comes with a mountain of paperwork, but since we're practically family here, we can skip all that. Zane, don't worry about a thing. Once the paperwork clears, just drive them straight off the lot. Sounds good. I send Duke and Bronson off to handle the paperwork, while I settle in and start talking business with Sterling. So, how'd it go? Have you thought it over? I ask. My grandfather's given the green light. We can lend to you. The exact amount just depends on the interest rate you're offering. Sterling gets straight to the point this time. After all, this is a loan with fixed returns, not an equity stake, so there's no need to dance around it. Even though his grandfather holds a position of great power, the family's wealth was never built on corruption. It was earned, patiently, across 3 generations. And last time, if it hadn't been about doing a favor, that kind of money wouldn't even have registered on their radar. They understand perfectly well that compared to money, keeping the old man's position secure is by far the bigger asset, which is why they never trade power for profit. They only ever invest through means that are reasonable, proper, and entirely legal. His grandfather rose through politics step by step, while his great-uncle built the family's business, accumulating profit little by little. It's taken decades to get here. The entire Hu family standing united, working as one, is what forged the family into what it is today. Compared to a typical businessman, the risk they take on with any investment is indeed far smaller, but by the same token, their returns tend to stay modest too, which is exactly why 3 generations worth of family fortune isn't something they'd ever dare squander recklessly. I'll offer you this. I hold up a clenched fist, and Sterling's face goes utterly blank. 1 finger he'd understand is 10%, 2 fingers is 20, but a full fist? What on earth does that mean? Maxed out. I say generous to a fault, straight to the legal ceiling, 24% annual interest. Because I'm borrowing a huge sum, the risk's substantial, and I won't try to shortchange you on it. Since I'm borrowing so much, if the interest were any lower, no one would be willing to lend at all. So no matter who comes to the table, it's 24% flat. You're not joking? Sterling is floored. 24% annual interest. Damn it, even clawing your way through the most cutthroat deals barely gets you numbers like that, since aside from the rarest premium assets out there, a normal business hitting a 20% annual profit margin would already count as a small miracle. And this is large-scale capital operation we're talking about, not some street vendor hawking wares. The more money involved, the easier success comes. But by that same logic, the more money involved, the harder it becomes to extract high margins at scale. If this were a straightforward investment pitch, and someone told him a project could guarantee 20% annual returns, Sterling's first instinct would be that he'd stumbled into a scam. After all, even the world's most legendary investors only manage annualized returns of around 20%, and even that isn't achieved every single year. It's an average earned over decades. But here's Zane, offering 24%, riding the razor's edge of legal lending, since anything past that line crosses into illegal loan sharking territory, and under normal circumstances, straight-up lending like this is a business the Hu family would never touch. It would cost them both face and substance, and seriously damage his grandfather's standing. But lending it to Zane specifically, that's a different story entirely. This is nothing more than a straightforward loan, Sterling's interest is piqued, and he immediately pulls out his phone, dialing a number and speaking with someone on the other end for a moment. 1 billion. Under my expectant gaze, Sterling smiles and says, "My grandfather's approved it. Pulling together every available fund, plus mortgaging some lower-tier assets, we can put together a full billion for you. $1 billion at that rate comes to $240 million a year in interest, $20 million landing in their pocket every single month. And money like that comes in far faster than anything their lower-tier assets could ever generate. More importantly, it's effortless and stable, with virtually zero risk. Most lenders would have to weigh the danger of an unsecured loan, but the Hu family doesn't have to. Because even if Zane's entire venture collapses, the Hu family's money gets repaid first. Everyone else's claims fall in line behind them. And given a market this massive, neither Sterling nor his grandfather believe Zane could ever collapse to the point of losing everything. That kind of scenario is close to unthinkable. Even a wrecked ship still has scrap metal worth salvaging, let alone a cruiser like this one, just about to set sail. Pleasure doing business. I grin, ear to ear. Another billion means another 100,000 debt points. Sterling wastes no time, calling in someone from his family, and both sides sign the contract on the spot. Before long, a full $1 billion lands in my personal account. The Cullinan seats 4, Ren and I ride in the back, Duke's driving, with Sterling riding shotgun. Bronson follows behind in the G-Wagon, while the Maybach gets handled separately. Sterling dispatches a staff member to have it delivered to Wei County. The 2 remaining cars head out one after the other, toward the address Sterling gave us. A luxury car earns its name for a reason. It draws stairs the entire way, and when we pull up to the residential district Sterling mentioned, security doesn't even bother asking questions. The gate simply swings open. Once inside, the entire scenery transforms instantly. I never imagined a place this tranquil could exist tucked away inside such a bustling metropolis. The whole district borders the Ashford River, which cuts right through Ashford City. The surroundings picturesque, lush with greenery, the roads spotless, trees and flowers lining every corner, the air crisp and clean, a gentle breeze drifting through. Against this stunning backdrop, rows of Chinese-style residences rise one after another, each with its own private courtyard, every single one a full mansion. Zane, Sterling gestures outward. This is Ashford Sanctuary, the most opulent residential district in the whole city. Nothing but mansions here, every single one worth over 50 million. And here's the thing, the luxury here never flaunts itself. Aside from the 4 grand estates set at each cardinal direction, the entire style leans understated, quietly extravagant. When these first went on sale 2 years ago, I bought one myself. Honestly, if it weren't for actually living in it, I couldn't afford to hold on to it. Properties like these are pure investment plays. You flip them the moment the price is right. The Hu family can't even afford a single mansion? I say, skeptical. I doubt it's about affording it. Sounds more like you just don't want to draw attention. Sure enough, Sterling lets out an awkward chuckle. I do stay there occasionally, a few days at a time, and I'll swing by when I'm hosting friends too. Tell me about the estates. I glance toward one side of the district. Near the entrance sits one of the grand estates, though calling it merely an estate hardly does it justice, since compared to a truly sprawling estate elsewhere, this one might look modest by comparison. But to own something like this inside such a thriving metropolis takes far more wealth than owning any sprawling countryside estate ever could. The car rolls forward, pulling up beside the estate, and at first glance, I realize calling it a small estate doesn't fit at all. Every structure here is built in classical Chinese style, more like a private garden than anything else. Green hills and flowing water, weeping willows swaying gently, ornamental rockeries and waterfalls, pavilions and terraced halls. The grounds are enormous. Countless walls partition the space, yet every step still reveals a new view, each one exquisite and breathtaking, every corner a landscape in its own right. Simply standing nearby, I can feel the misty, tranquil elegance of classical Chinese aesthetics. It draws you in as though you'd stepped straight into a painting. This estate, Sterling says, his expression complicated, was reportedly built to the highest possible standard, designed by several of the country's most celebrated master architects. The construction costs alone were absurd. I've been inside before. Pavilions connect seamlessly. Halls rise one after another, blending modern sensibility with classical Chinese style. Clean and understated, yet utterly stunning. Comfortable and secure, with every convenience built in. The perfect setting for a quiet, reflective life. Do you want it? I ask. Who wouldn't? Sterling laughs bitterly. Honestly, this represents the ultimate dream home anyone could ever hope for. The trouble is it's absurdly expensive. Across all of Ashford Sanctuary, there are only 4 of these estates total, 1 in each direction, and none of them even use the district's main gates. Each has its own private entrance. Do you know who's already claimed these? The South Estate went to the head of the East River Chamber of Commerce, who also happens to be the developer behind Ashford Sanctuary. Sheridan, chairman of Rivermont Group, kept it for himself and turned it into an exclusive private club. Even the guests who come and go are all people of considerable standing. The North Estate sits closer to the river and was snatched up by the son of Tidewater Energy Group's chairman, turned into his own private club. Nobody in the energy business is ever a simple player. As for the West Estate, that got claimed last month by the Sabine Group. Apparently it was Sabine, the eldest daughter of the Sabine family, who made the purchase. I guess she did it for the same reason I did, purely as an investment. Right now, only the East Estate remains unsold, mostly because its location is the quietest of the 4. The scenery there is the most beautiful, the most livable, but here's the catch. People who'd actually want to live there can't afford it, and the people who can afford it aren't buying it to live in. Sterling keeps talking, and buried underneath every word is a clear undertone of longing, wanting something just out of reach, like some love-struck teenager gazing hopelessly at the school's most beautiful girl. What do you think? I turn toward Ren. Ren looks a little caught off guard. What does this have to do with her? But since I've asked, she answers honestly anyway. Hidden from the world, yet not cut off from it. Removed from the noise, yet still within the city. If price were no object, I don't think anyone could resist it. Well, that works out perfectly. I flash a wide grin. I happen to be exactly that person, the one who never looks at price. Should I go get someone to sell it to us? Wait, hold on, are you serious? Sterling looks completely stunned, his voice rising with excitement. This isn't a car we're talking about. This is a private estate. I've looked into it myself. With taxes and every other cost factored in, the total price runs close to a full billion. Well, would you look at that? I pull out my bank card smiling. Guess what? I just made $1 billion. Holy hell! Sterling looks completely stunned. Made $1 billion just like that. Isn't that literally the loan my family just handed you? And you're spending it on a house? Still in a daze, he leads me off to go find a sales representative. The sales rep urgently contacts their manager, and a whole entourage arrives by car shortly after. Both sides negotiate amicably and settle on a final price of $1 billion. The other side handles every last detail, and I move straight in, bags in hand. Nothing in the old rented apartment holds any real value. I leave it all behind, sending my landlord a quick message and tossing in a few extra $100 for cleaning. I have Duke and Bronson drive the cars straight into the East Estate. Parking spaces line both the interior and exterior, enough to hold dozens of vehicles. Clearly, whoever designed this place had already accounted for the possibility that a buyer might repurpose it into something entirely different.